Welcome to the Florence Foodies podcast, a place for the community to gather and share the stories, voices, and experiences that make Florence feel like home. To support this podcast and the Florence Foodies platform as a whole, click the Support This Podcast link found in the description.
So I think some people might look at this and say, you can't have a realtor on the podcast as a guest because that's your competition. But I always say there is no competition in the kingdom. I don't believe in that. What's for me, God opens doors that no man can close, and he closes doors that no man can open. So what's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours. And with that being said, in our profession, we're not only competitors, but we're also colleagues.
Right.
And so we recently did a deal together, and that was interesting. And I really enjoyed working with you on that. And then I learned some other things about you that we're going to get into here, here in a few, probably the meat of this. But I want to tell you that, it was a really great experience working with you on all levels. I learned some things along the way. I mentioned that off camera a minute ago. And with that being said, I'm glad to have you here today. So how are you doing, Mr. Merritts?
Oh, man, I'm doing awesome, man. Like I said, got over here, beat the GPS by 3 minutes, so I'm starting my day off 1-0.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's always good.
Exactly, man. And, to kind of piggyback off of what you said as far as both of us being in the same, as realtors, I feel the same way. I always tell everybody, man, God brings me my business. So at the end of the day, I don't see any competition. There's no competition in my eyes. I truly believe that God brings me my business, and anybody that been in this business long enough, you need a higher power, because there are days that you're going to be questioning yourself, like, oh man, did I make the right decision? But I don't look at it as competition, man. What's for you is for you, and what's for me is for me. I really truly believe that any relationship, any client that I had, man, it was ordained and in the plan before we ever met. So that's basically how I view it.
So I wanted to ask you on that note. Let's start off with a little bit of real estate, and then we're going to probably dive heavy into some sports topics. I think that with our profession, I think there's a lot of people that don't know behind the curtain. They don't really understand what it is that all that we do. They don't understand a lot of the nuances to the position. So what would you say are some things that we do for our clients, to facilitate real estate transactions that the public, at least that you've seen over time, is not really aware of, the magnitude or the depth of what it is we do day to day?
Well, that's a good question. This is how I look at it, because the public really think that agents don't do anything. And this is the thing, the crazy part, actually. If I do a deal with a client and they think that I didn't do anything, that's a win. Because basically what we are hired to do is make sure it goes smoothly. And when they hire us, there are a lot of things, a lot of experiences that we've gone through that we can have some sort of foresight. And okay, well, we don't need to go that route. We don't need to go down this road. So this is what we need to do. And it makes the deal go smoothly. But when they look at it, like, oh my God, they didn't really do anything. But let that lender come back and say you're denied. Now you see, okay, I need my realtor, because we have relationships. We can go to another lender. We can repackage it. There are things, and we can kind of go at it from a standpoint of from our experience. And that can kind of guide us to put the deal back on point. And if they didn't have an agent, they probably would think, oh man, this is not for me. So man, we are motivators. We're talking to the lenders. We're talking to the title company. We're talking to them. We got to make sure
attorneys.
Attorneys. We got to make sure that they have everything turned into the lender. We got to stay on the lenders to make sure that they are prioritizing our client because they actually have more clients as well. So with the right lender, we can get to the point where, hey man, we're closing on Tuesday. Oh, okay. I forgot. So it's just so many hats that we got to wear, and at the same time be there for our client, answer every phone call, and that's just one client.
Mhm.
Now, what about our other clients? What about the clients, we got to get new business. How about old business? So it's so much stuff, so many hats that we wear that they don't see. But my whole thing is if if I work with a client, they think I didn't really do anything, I mean, I'll take that. But what they don't know is the stuff that I did in the back, on the back end, so it can go smoothly. So
Yeah. In reality, that would be impossible. We had to do something, and that was a big part of the reason why it went smoothly, and you didn't notice any of the turbulence.
exactly.
Another thing I would, just to add to that, something I would want to throw in too is where the rubber meets the road. The bottom line is the money, and we are supposed to know the market. That's really
Mm,
supposed to be our mainstay, our bread and butter. That's supposed to be at the core of what we bring to the table in this profession. And when I talk about knowing the market, there's so many moving parts. There's all these variables. There's average days on market, average price per square foot in what segment of the market, then what price point is your home at, and then what features of the home are expected at that average price per square foot at that moment in time, because that fluctuates seasonally, it's cyclical, but then also external factors, whether it be something going on in the world, obviously mortgage rates is going to impact that, all these kind of things. Um, Properties with a price decrease. How many properties right now are having to decrease their price? How long has that been going on? What direction is that going? All these things are market analytics that we're supposed to know. The public does not know these things. It's not that they can't or they don't. It's not their profession. If you're
correct.
a welder or you manage a restaurant or you're a nurse or a basketball player, like whatever you do,
Right.
you're not going to know that because that's not what you do, but that's what we do. And that actually is going to, not probably, not maybe, but translate to your bottom line. And so, just as one example, and this is another thing I think the public doesn't realize, and the reason why is because it's invisible. So, if you hire a realtor, or you don't actually, in the example I'm about to give, and you sell a home or buy a home, all you see is the money. You base all of your negotiations, you base that entire experience off of whatever that dollar amount was that you started with. That dollar amount could have been wrong. So that's step one. Then some of the other things that may go along the way, how do you tailor your negotiating based on all these market variables that you're not aware of? And then you get to you get to the closing table, that transaction finishes, and you walk away with whatever you walk away with, whether it be the property at the price you paid, or whether it be the check as the seller that you walk away with, and you're oblivious to whether or not that could have or should have been different. I'm gonna give you an example of exactly what I'm talking about. I sold a home that was a FSBO prior. So there was a for sale by owner. I'm cold calling,
Okay.
early on. This is about 2 years ago now.
Right.
And so we've got to generate business. And so cold calling, they used to do a lot more door knocking they do now. All these things is sales. So I'm cold calling the for sale by owners. Always a fun experience.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
So I'm calling, and I called this FSBO for sale by owner, and the owner gives me the very nice, very polite. A lot of people are, but they're in their mind. If I'm paying you, I'm losing money I can make if I just sell it myself. This can be true. I've done this. That was actually what got me started in this business, was for sale by owning a couple of my own properties and it going well. But a lot of times that's not the case. And I attribute that to God just working it out. That was ordained, because that's statistically, I think 7% of properties sold are, off, yeah, without a realtor. So anyways, due to the nature of it, I called and, said, maybe, but I think I can get it done, and so on and so forth. That went on for a little while. I had a buyer client come along that was genuinely, well, first of all, their criteria kind of matched that property. And since I'd already had eyes on it, I mentioned it among some other ones, and they were interested in it. So we started negotiating. So now I'm representing the buyer to help those that just make sure you're following the story. I called this for sale by owner and offered to represent as a listing agent. The owner declined. I had a buyer client that had interest in the property among a couple others in the area. And now we're negotiating. For sale by owners representing theirself, I'm representing my buyer. And this was just, we didn't get anything under contract because we couldn't come to terms. But in that process, the seller told me flat out what they would take for the property. They told me what they would take. I told my buyer it was out of budget. We couldn't come to terms. So that was the end of that. A little bit of time passed, maybe another month or two. I don't remember exactly. I circled back. Property still available. Decent property. I mean, there was no reason for it to not be sold. Finally, the seller caved, says, all right, you can list it. We had it under contract in 2 weeks. Now, I'm not saying that always happens. I'm not taking credit. It was under in 2 weeks. I'm just saying you get more exposure when you're on MLS and that kind of thing. And, you have representation. So I'm not trying to make a big deal out of the 2 weeks. That's just a fact of what happened. Here's the bottom line, though. After everything was said and done, we closed, knowing the numbers, and you would know, closing cost, all the stuff. That seller walked away with $6,000 cash more in their pocket than they would have if they would have taken an offer based off what they told me a month or two, three prior, they were willing to take selling it themselves. And that was with paying me and a buyer's agent, because I didn't represent the buyer in that case.
So let me ask you a question. As far as, did you sell the house for more than he originally said he would take it when you put it on the market?
We did bump the price slightly. It wasn't drastic. It wasn't drastic. No.
So how did he come up with his number?
I think it was just, we all have a number. If I'm willing to sell, I know what my number is. So I'll take this.
So basically he was just giving you a bottom line number. He didn't say, okay, this is what I sell it for. Well, if I can walk away with this amount, I got you.
So he might have gotten more anyways on his own, but the facts are the facts. He did it. And I know what that bottom line was. And had he been somebody come along and made that offer, so it is theoretical, but it's still relevant. But my question is, it is theoretical, but how many times are things like that actually playing out?
Oh yeah. Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Because
that's real money.
Yeah, because from a standpoint of, okay, they always say, okay, this is what I want to walk away with. But then they'll come back and ask you, okay, what are closing costs? I mean, how much is my closing costs? And they never think about repairs. They never think about the possibility of repairs. They never think about negotiating. They never think about, even if the house is sitting for a while and you probably have to do a price deduction. So I mean, they never think about those. Only thing they think about is, okay, I'm gonna put it on the market and this is my bottom line. And when someone comes by, like you said, it could be losing money, because do you even know what your bottom line is? I mean, I always ask them, I mean, where do you get this bottom line from? How did you come up with your numbers?
Right.
And then, because I'm a numbers guy. So
me too.
If I can see where you came up with your numbers, and if I can show you a way where you can possibly make more, would that interest you? Well, sure. Or, a lot of times, I'll give you a call back.
Yeah.
But like you said, the only thing I want to do is, just make an initial, talk to them, make an initial, not initially talk to them. So, and it always goes that way. It probably stay on the market for a while. And then once they start getting frustrated, you're going to be the first person. Well, that agent did call me a couple of times.
Yeah.
Let me give him a call. And, but I don't know. I mean, these days with Google and Zillow, Chat GPT, everybody is a professional. So
yeah, you gotta be careful with that though, because the Chat GPT, any of the AI tools, they're amazing. I mean, I use them frequently for different things, but they will spit out some wrong information to you. So really, my recommendation is, yes, use it, because you can get a convenient, quick answer, and it's going to give you all these sources that are used to point you in whatever direction. But you better go back behind, especially if you're saying something publicly or there's some money on the line, there's a liability thing on the line. You better go back and double check and verify that that information was correct, because sometimes all those tools are doing is you could do what ChatGPT does yourself. You could search every source, but it would take you, A, you don't know where to start a lot of times, and B, it's going to take you a lot of time. It can pull all those different links and resources instantaneously and then spit out the information. And it does process it for you too. But yeah, you just want to go back and double check.
But if you look at it from a standpoint of, I mean, we are Chat GPT. You know, whenever that's why they're coming to us. We have all of this information, readily available.
Mhm.
We can have the house on the market in an hour. And we can have all this information as far as market analysis, days on market. This is research that we pay for.
Correct.
This is not free information.
Correct.
And this is not information that you can readily get,
Yeah.
that's readily available. So we can make the process, we can make a process where you don't know what you have to do. It'll probably take you a month, 2 months. And after you finally get on the market, you're still not confident, because you're basically testing the market from a standpoint of, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm testing the market. So, but what are you testing it off of? I could be right. I could be wrong. So in a standpoint, we're the Chat GPTs. Okay, well, we're going to test the market, and if it doesn't go like this, we need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not in the business, how do you know if you're right or if you're wrong? So that's that's what I always tell them. Hey, man, I can get you. I know everything comes with a cost, but we can get you on the market and we can get your numbers. Don't worry about what we're getting. Let's talk numbers. And
Right.
if these numbers are okay with you, let's move forward. If not, try it on your own and get back with me in a month, because this is the thing. They're going to call you. There are people that look for sale by owners specifically.
Yeah.
And the thing with a for sale by owner, they get excited when somebody call them. Oh, I showed the house. But what they don't know is this person's not pre-approved.
Yeah.
He don't have a job, or, he's just moving down. He's not serious. And typically when they start to show the house 2 or 3 times, 4 times, that excitement, it just starts to dwindle, and then that's when they come to us, because when we're showing the house, these are approved buyers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're not just doing this for fun.
Right.
So we, but some people got to learn on their own.
Yeah.
They got to learn the hard way. But at the end of the day, I always tell people, I don't have an ego. I don't have an ego. If I told you and you were wrong, come back to me. I don't care. I don't have an ego. In my mind, that never happened. Let's just move forward accordingly. So
yeah, I'll point something else out too. Just talking about pay. That's something that I think people look at and they get like sticker shock with. But if you were to actually, and I know you could testify to this for sure. I know that for certain. If you were to take on any given transaction for that matter, but just across the board, if you were to take a realtor's income and break it down to an hourly rate, it's not as much as you may think for most realtors. Now, the ones that have worked hard, blessed, whatever the combination of all of it is, and have a lot of volume, and then they've got assistants and they've got help, they got different things going on, then, I kind of relate that to boxing. I don't know if you're a boxing fan. We haven't talked about that. So we just had the Bud Crawford and Canelo fight last weekend, and Canelo in particular made over $100 million on the fight. Most boxers aren't making that kind of money.
Right.
So if you want to take your lens and view just the ones that are at the top, the Canelos of the game, then you may think, trust me, 90% of realtors aren't doing the Canelo money.
Mm-hmm.
They're working just as hard. Some may be working harder in some cases, maybe. But the bottom line is, it's just like anything else. You got to work hard. You got to be consistent, and that's just the way that it is. But it's not. Some people will look at that final settlement statement and say, "Wow, that was X amount of dollars." It's like, well, how much time
that you put
Yeah,
into
from
it.
point A to Z was into this. So if you took that and made it hourly, then you calculated mileage. We pay for our own insurance, all these kind of things that come when you look at a normal paycheck from a 9 to 5. We got to pay taxes on that money. If
Mhm.
you filter all of that, all of a sudden it's like, okay, well that's a little bit, that's probably closer to what I'm making. That's probably what a lot of people would find out. So.
Exactly. And that's the thing that they, like you said, they always look at the final number.
Mhm.
And I mean, you know this from the deal that we did. You know, we had to cut our commission. You know what I mean? But so, you know, they don't see things like that.
Right.
You know, and I think, you know, with the, you know, the deal that we did, I was working with that client for over a year. You know, so and what they don't
Yeah.
see is the clients that you work with over a year and you still don't get paid. You know, they don't see that, you know, so but
Yeah, some people end up not buying at all.
they end up not buying, you know, and it's their prerogative, you know, so
Right.
once they get to that point from a standpoint of, okay, I can leave whenever I want to leave, I can go to another agent. You know, if they look at it from that standpoint, like, hey man, everything that we do is not guaranteed and we are working. You know, this money is for all of the work that I did. It's not just for you. You know, I come to work every day, you know, and like I always tell them, and I can't just live off your commission. I mean, if I just made this commission and I didn't sell any more houses for the whole year,
Right.
I mean, I'm done. You know, I'm done. So, but you know, when they look at it, oh man, you made all of this money, you can go retire. No, I mean,
That was a heck of a transaction if that's
yeah,
the
I mean,
case.
it doesn't work like that, man. We have to continue to work, and like I say, it's a lot of people that, oh man, I'm going to be a real estate agent, and I tell all of them the same thing. I mean, it's great. It's a great business, but I always say, just don't give up. Just don't
Yeah.
give up. Just stay in it. And you got to stay in it for a couple of years for you to realize any true gains.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying all that to say those are the people that understand, like, hey, no, it's not as easy. You know,
No.
it's not just opening doors, you know, because what they say, the average realtor sells what, 3 houses a year? 3 houses
Something
on,
like that. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. Like when they first get in.
Yeah.
I know when I first got into business, I didn't sell anything. That first year, I didn't sell one house the whole year. I didn't sell one house. So I always tell them from experience, you know, just stay in it, man. And I mean, I can go on and on about, you know, somebody just getting into the real estate game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I think
it's
that
something.
one benefit, I think for me, I'm glad that I say it this way, that God gave me the insight to see this, let's go ahead and be aware of this. I never treated it like it wasn't going to require hard work. And we're about to get into some conversation about some very popular basketball players here in a little bit, but that mentality from a couple of guys that I have been a big fan of throughout life, that was the approach from day one. So being up at 3 a.m. doing the course load just to get through, that was some of that way of thinking was part of the motivation to do that. And I think it was supernatural too. So I don't get up at 3 a.m. to do anything other than go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But I was doing that because I was
Yeah.
working a 9 to 5. We've got the
Yeah.
kids, so if I'm going to get this done, this is when I got to do it. But I would just say from my experience, I'm in year 3 now, so but it's just like anything else. You have to work hard. And, you know, you can't laziness, cutting corners, slackness, that doesn't equate to success in anything. And it's definitely not going to in this, because this is sink or swim. So I have to understand, if I got any shot at this, I probably need to outwork everybody. You know, like that's what I've got to do.
That's it, man.
So,
I mean, and my biggest thing, well, let me ask you this question, as far as, because it's interesting when you said the 9 to 5, that for a lot of people, and you know, you say that mentality, you got to have that mentality. For a lot of people with a 9 to 5, that is the very reason why they didn't make it in real estate, because they had a job. And the thing is, I know for me personally, when I went full time,
mhm.
I went from selling, I think the first year I sold 14 houses. And that wasn't even a full year. But I never forget. when I originally got into, I never told a story. When I originally got into real estate, I started working at uh, a real estate agent, that would remain nameless. And I was excited. I was excited because the agent, she looked like me, and I was really excited. And make a long story short, I ended up getting fired for something that I didn't do. And coincidentally, the buyer that I was working with, we actually working together now, and I'm selling them another house in Columbia. But nevertheless, I literally didn't do anything. And that agent, this lady, she looked me in my eyes. This motivates me to this day. I never told anybody this. This motivates me to this day. We look the same. It was very few of us broker owners then. She looked me in my eyes and said, "This probably is not for you." Looked me in my eyes. She said, "You probably need to go back to doing mortgages or whatever you're doing. This is just probably not for you." And that was probably 16 years ago, 15 years ago. And that motivates me to this day. Man, I look her in the eyes like, man, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. So I left there and went to Weichert, the best decision that I ever made. Because, see, where I was, I had a background of mortgages. So I had a background of the real estate game. So I was kind of running wild, but more Weichert, they taught me how to be a professional. A professional, and things that I learned at Weichert over a decade ago, I still use to this day, So, but yeah, man, she said that she fired me, and man, that motivates me to this day because I know that I didn't do anything, but I'm green out here with a client. I can't control what my client is doing. The deal didn't work out. Okay, the deal didn't work out. Let's move on to the next, because that's what I do now. But I couldn't move on to the next. So, you got to get out of here. So I said, all right. But yeah, so but the kind of move forward as far as the 9 to 5, uh, if you're not, motivated, self motivated,
Mm-hmm.
you'll go home. You won't make that last call because at the end of the day, you got a check coming. But it's a whole different ball game when this is the only thing that you got, and you got a family at the house.
Yeah.
So when I stop my full-time job, which I got fired from a full-time job too. I always say God fired me from all my jobs. I only had 2 full-time jobs that I ever worked with, but the first one, I was at Honda, and I quit that to sell sneakers, and that went good up until, that's a long story. But but my other job, I had a job at PD, and then they got fired from there, and that what made me officially get into real estate. And once I went full time, it was no stopping me. No stopping me. So that was that what kind of held me back a little bit, because I said, okay, man, the deal probably didn't go right, and I was babysitting deals, man. Just because in this business you can't just get honed in on one deal, because when that deal closes, what do you have? Like, you literally have to uh do one deal, but at the same time, you got to be bringing in new business while you're trying to get this deal to the closing table. So
Another part that people don't understand,
another part
unless
they
you
don't understand, man.
I remember when I first got my license, I was just kind of feeling things out. I hadn't, really even interviewed any brokers of where I might fit and where I might go. And I had a conversation with a realtor that was doing an open house in my neighborhood. I just popped in. I was walking my baby girl in the stroller. I was like, we'll pop in here and just join the open house. I wasn't going to mention I was a realtor. I just wanted to see how the open house ran.
Right.
But we got to talking, and so I told him and said, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go, and I don't know yet. I just got the license, and he made a comment. He said, this game's pay to play. I did not forget that. Then he told me what he pays to play, a month. I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. And I would quickly learn how that part of
I
it
know
works.
exactly who you're talking about.
But if you're
told me the same thing.
if you're not if you're not, you're either going to pay to play, or, and I'm talking about right out the gate, once you get that, momentum going, reputation, word of mouth, do you get exposure? I tell people, the best marketing there is that sign sitting out on these streets everywhere. And, the more of those you can get out there, I see you get that momentum rolling and you get to the forefront of people's conscious. And when they think about selling their home, you're automatically on the list of people to call. They might not go with you, but you're going to get probably a chance to get in front of them and demonstrate what you would do to sell the house. So, but until you get there, you've got to get rolling somehow. And you're either going to pay to play, or you've got to be a marketing strategist. Now, you didn't go to marketing school. Well, maybe you did, but to get that license, you didn't. There's not, if I recall, the only real marketing stuff that's in the course load to get the SC license is the things you can and can't put on your sign.
There you go. They
So
don't say
they don't
anything
teach
about
you
bringing
how
in
to
business.
market yourself as a professional locally and to acquire business. So you've got to do that as well. So like you were saying, to your point, the reason I said that is, you're doing whatever this transaction is, but you've got to be marketing simultaneously if you're going to continue to make a living and continue to do more business, for sure. So you got to be hungry. You've got to be self-motivated.
Got to be self-motivated,
And
man.
the 9 to 5, I guess it's kind of, it kind of goes both ways, because the 9 to 5, if you're not that way, and it's all circumstantial too. Don't get me wrong. People's circumstances are different. In my situation, I've got a large family, and where I was at, I had probably moved up about as far as I was going to go. And anything farther, I probably could have done more. I probably could have got another 20, 30,000, maybe $35,000 a year out of what I was doing if I kept moving. But that ceiling was still there. I could see it. And it still was not satisfactory. Is that now, if that's what God has said, this is my best for you, this is where I want you, and because you're going to do whatever, and that's what I understood was coming from him, I'd have peace with that, because I'm content with a little or a lot.
Right.
But that's not the sense that I had. Still not the sense that I have.
Exactly.
So that was, and then all this came up. I won't get into the whole story on that on my end, but yeah. So we get out of that, and then at the end of 2023, October, I went full time. So 2024 was my first full year, full time, that whole 12-month period, and we did just under 3 million in volume that year, which was, and I attribute that, like you said at the beginning, that's 100% how I feel, is God sent that. But to me, the important part to that was the confirmation that I had heard correctly, and He did indeed tell me, go and get this license and pursue this. This is what we're going to do next. But sometimes I think people can hear that kind of language and confuse it. That I say, there's no competition in the kingdom. But here's another kingdom principle that I believe: hard work is a principle in the kingdom. Also, laziness is not something that's going to go well in the kingdom either. So it all goes together.
Definitely, man. Faith without works is dead, man.
Yeah.
And then, I always, man, God will meet you where your faith is, man. Wherever your faith is, God will meet you there, and He's ready. I mean, whatever you, and I believe this, man. I always tell my kids this. I mean, I believe I can. I really believe that I can do whatever I want to do. Like, in my mind, I probably didn't accomplish it, but in my mind, I don't care if you Michael Jordan, LeBron James. I don't care who you are. I look at us as equal. Because I think I'm a pro in life. You're a pro in life. And I really believe that I can do anything that I want to do, because I believe in God that much, because I know where He brought me from. Like I said, I can remember days I was at Weicker. The house I used to stay in, Whitehall subdivision. I'll never forget it was babysitting deals. You learn experiences. It was a deal that was around Christmas time. And when I tell you everything was riding on me closing this deal, everything was riding on me closing this deal. I mean, the bills that I had to pay for December, Christmas, everything. And when that lady, and I was working with a local lender, and I think everything was riding for him as well. And when that lady said we had got her clear to close, and when she said that she's not going to move forward, that thing crushed me, man. And when I tell you I walked from Weicker all the way in Whitehall at the end of this
Wow.
road. Whitehall,
Yes.
I walked all the way home. Man, I said, you know what? Wife at the time, I'll come pick you up. Nah, I'm good. I just got to go home. Man, I just got to walk. And I never remember my lights getting cut off. I never remembered my kids not having anything for Christmas. I don't remember any of that. They got Christmas, lights was still here, no repossessions. But I'm just saying all that to say God brought me through that.
Mhm.
And it was a loss at the time, but it was a lesson. I don't believe in losses, man. Any loss is a lesson to me because I learned something valuable and I learned where not to go.
Yeah.
If I know this, if I know this is hot and I touch it, I know not to touch it anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm never going to get burnt again. So that's an experience. And man, so I just believe in God so much, man. And I know where he bought me from. And, Lord willingly, I learned some lessons not to ever go back there
Yeah.
again. I learned lessons in business. I learned lessons, you got to keep going. You got to keep going. You got to stay positive.
Yeah.
Got to have a nest egg.
Yeah.
You got to have a nest egg, pay to play.
Yeah.
So who was that? I want to know if we was talking about it, bro.
I'll tell you
Your
off
bro?
camera.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't my broker.
Oh, okay.
People don't know it. A lot of agents are spending across the country.
Yeah.
A lot of, like those leads. I won't get into it. I've mentioned it on
Well,
this
yeah,
platform
yeah,
before, but
yeah.
those leads, realtor.com, that stuff is extremely expensive. You can run up $10,000, $11,000,
Oh, yeah.
$15,000 a month,
Oh,
and that's in Florence. I can't.
Yes.
Myrtle Beach is insane.
insane, bro.
So it's very expensive, and you've got to decide. And for me, I thought, I felt led to, and I'll just say it. I don't mind saying it publicly. I spent $100 a month for Zillow leads. That's all I spent in 2025.
Yeah.
And that's brought us one deal, which was great.
And it
Super
paid for
thankful
itself.
for it. But
Yeah.
absolutely paid for itself for a long time at that rate.
Mhm.
But I felt like the correct thing to do in my case was we're gonna bet on ourselves. So I invest in all of this. What we're doing, that's where the money's going. But there's all these nuances to it, and if you want to get into real estate, talk to somebody that can explain all this to you, because
There you go.
there's a lot of nuance, and I'll just leave that there. So, so we could talk real estate all day probably, and maybe we bored the people enough with this at this
Right,
point. So,
exactly.
hopefully somebody enjoyed it. Probably only the people that are real estate agents themselves are still listening at this point. But if you're still there, let's shift over. So as we were working this transaction together, another thing I like about this business, I like meeting people and getting to know them. That's the whole point of this podcast, is a place for the community to gather. It's where we come together and get to know one another. We're fellow residents in a community. And this is Florence still at this time, still a relatively tight-knit style community. So I love that about, this platform, but also our profession. You get to meet people, especially a deal like ours, with the amount of time invested, you have a lot of conversations, and then we follow each other on social media, and you start to build these relationships as colleagues.
Exactly.
So in the mix of that, I'm learning about Travis. I'm like, man, I like working with Travis. He's sharp, he's diligent, he's knowledgeable, he's professional, and everything is going good. And then all of a sudden, we send a
curveball.
the Facebook friend request, and I find out that Mr. Merritts is a Cowboys fan.
One and only, baby.
So
one and only.
Before we get into this, and I need to say this because of our recent success. If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't feel as necessary. And for my audience, I want to make sure that this is understood. This is important to me right now. I've been doing. So I was born in '86.
Okay.
I'll be 39 next month, and I've been doing this since Keith Byers, Seth Joyner, Randall Cunningham was my favorite player. When I was at the Cowboys game, which we won last week, I had my Randall Cunningham jersey on. So I've been in this for a long time. There were no Carolina Panthers back then. And my dad was at the time a Redskins fan, now the Commanders, of course. And I guess maybe that was, I don't know how it happened. I really don't know the exact moment, but you know how it is when you're a kid, especially from South Carolina. It's probably how you became a Cowboys fan. You're from here, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we didn't have a team.
Right.
So, I mean, you're kind of just a kid. You're impressionable because of that. You're watching and you kind of just select a team when you're a kid, and hopefully that's who you ride with,
There you go.
And for me, I can't say I remember the exact moment, but somehow it was just watching Randall Cunningham play ball. And I was like, man, I like
Buddy
the
Ryan.
Eagles. Yeah. And so maybe the little rivalry with my dad type thing too. But I remember watching the Cowboys win a couple of Super Bowls there in the 90s. Like all these memories. So I've been in this for a long time. I think that I'm solidified in my place in this. And I think,
gotcha.
it is just important for you to know who you're talking to because you didn't know that. So
Okay,
I
I
want to
got
make
you.
sure we set the table correctly before we get in this conversation.
I got you.
So with that being said, Cowboys fan, it's no secret. Maybe some of those out there don't know the Cowboys-Eagles rivalry. Local people would understand Clemson and Carolina. The Cowboys-Eagles rivalry, in my opinion, has to be one of the top 5 rivalries in sports. So you got the Celtics and the Lakers, and I'm talking historically, pound for pound rivalries.
Right.
Celtics, Lakers. As a local, I would say Clemson, Carolina. We put that in there. Commanders, Cowboys would be one for sure. Eagles, Cowboys is a big deal.
Yeah.
A really big deal.
I agree. I have a lot of family stay in Philadelphia, so we always going back and forth on the Cowboys and the Philadelphia, Cowboys and Philadelphia, whatever you want to call it. But I always just do that. Just put up 5, man. I just put up 5. And
what else you gonna do?
Yeah, I could just put up 5 and that'll just kill it. 'Cause the thing is with Eagles fans, this is the thing I don't like about you guys. I don't know where you guys get this mindset of y'all have arrived. I mean, you guys just won your second ring. You just won you was my whole life you were losers. You always had good teams, but you never won anything. But everybody always talk about the Cowboys and we're so arrogant in our ego. But if you look at these Eagles fans, if you didn't know any better, and someone just came from a third world country, they would think that Eagles won 17 rings, and it's just not true. It's just not true. Yeah, granted, y'all with Andy Reid, you guys won a lot. You won a lot. You got to the NFC Championship where Donovan McNabb did get to a Super Bowl. So you won a lot, but you didn't win the big one.
Oh, we're very aware.
Yeah, you did. You didn't win.
We're very aware.
So that's how I look at it, man. But
in a way, for me, the
this
stretch from 2000 to 2004, particularly, and in 2008 was the worst one. I made a comment on Facebook the other day about that. That was the hardest one to swallow because I just knew. By the time we got to the Cardinals and NFC Championship, I knew that was going to be the year. I knew it because we had already beat the Cardinals 45-21. I think on Thanksgiving Day it was a splattering. It was a beatdown, and we had already beat the Steelers. And not just that we had beat them, but the way we beat them. And I guess maybe assuming they'd make the Super Bowl, but we had 8 sacks on Roethlisberger, and then the backup, which was I forgot who he was, came in. There was 9 sacks that game that we had. Correll Buckhalter had the only touchdown. And I was like, this is going to be the year. This is it. Deshaun Jackson was there by this point. But anyways, in a way for me, in my experience, the 2000 to 2004, also count 2008, that time period was mentally for me rougher than the 90s. Because in the 90s, and I was younger too, but to me, it's like if I know we stink, then I know we stink. So I was like, that helps me week to week in the game. Now I can just get excited. Can we beat somebody? I'm just excited about that. My hopes aren't high. My expectations are low. And I can just enjoy the game. But when I feel like it's championship or bust, very frustrating.
The stakes are higher.
With that being said, I've made the comment. So a really good friend of mine, his name's Daniel Hayes. Daniel, you'll probably hear this. Me and Daniel spent a lot of time at that 9 to 5 working in the warehouse together. Daniel is about your age. He lives up in Dillon, and he's a lifelong Washington fan.
Okay. Ooh, bless.
So we have a lot of so we have a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
And we talk about Super Bowl rings. We're one away from them.
Yeah. One away.
We're creeping up.
They're creeping up.
So either way, because all I heard for the longest time was 0 rings. Now it's 2 rings. I could take that because I know math. I know that when the number is going up, then that's encouraging. So either way, we had a conversation about December, what it would have been January, actually, specifically earlier this year. I made a comment, and I'm gonna double down on that comment right now with you, and I
Okay.
want to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay.
I made a comment to him, and I said we were both going to the NFC Championship.
Right.
And that was significant to me because, like I said, my dad was a Washington fan. He passed away in 2006. So had he been alive, that would have been a real cool moment, especially the way that it played out. I would have enjoyed that. But I've got Daniel, and so we were going back and forth that whole week. And I made a comment. I said, this could not be any worse for Cowboys Nation than this is at this moment. It could not be.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, Daniel, I'm going to be honest. Now, obviously, I want us to win and then go on and win the Super Bowl, of course. But I said, but let me just separate my desires from it and just make a statement. I said, if y'all win this game, being the NFC Championship, and then you go on and win the Super Bowl, that's going to be a real tough pill to swallow, a slap in the face to Cowboys Nation. Because we talk about Cowboys Nation a lot, admittedly. And I know y'all take pride in the fact that we talk a lot about you. We do.
Exactly.
And we don't make apologies for it. It's so, I mean, I think that is one thing that y'all can tip your own cap to.
Yeah.
Or we tip our cap to you.
Yeah.
It's true. We put a lot of attention on y'all. I'll give you that. And but I told him, I said, but if we win, if we go on and win, it's devastating. And then I made a further prediction of that. And this is what I'm about to say. And I'm gonna lay this at your feet and submit it to you, see what you think about it. I said, Cowboys Nation has the mystique. It's rode off of Troy Aikman, Jimmy Johnson, Michael Irvin, Dion, Primetime, Woodson, the whole crew. And the success, the Super Bowls, there's 5 championships. And I think those ones from the 90s really are the pinnacle of all that. The whole world was watching. Everything really, to me, is an outflow of that, particularly those. And it's carried so much momentum. It was so impactful to the nation, perhaps the world. They became America's team. And you've got a whole fan base. My younger stepbrother is part of that. He's younger than me, but yet
Smart
he's
guy.
a big Cowboys fan. So never seen him win anything, but he's a Cowboys fan. And it to me, it's because of that momentum from the success that the Cowboys had culminating in the mid 90s. And I've sensed that it's waning. It's been on the ropes a little bit. And maybe it could be a Muhammad Ali moment where you're on the ropes, but it's a bounce back. But this could be an Errol Spence moment. This could be a Canelo Alvarez moment where the mystique of the Dallas Cowboys, the America's team mystique. It's the only, I keep coming back to it because I think it's the best word. I think that it's been on the ropes, and our victory in the Super Bowl, especially in the fashion that it was in, on top of it, making it even worse, really kind of got him a little punch drunk. Now it's wobbly, and here's my submission: if the Dallas Cowboys don't make the playoffs this year, if this year looks bad, it doesn't look good, I'm going to say the mystique is dead.
The mystique is dead.
It's dead. Now, you're going to have the legacy fans, but the whole thing is now, you won't be able to see it. I think it's one of the things where you can't really notice it till a couple years down the road, but it's dead.
But it's dead.
America's team.
America's team is dead. So basically, America died.
No, the Philadelphia Eagles killed America's team.
They killed
with the help of the Washington Commanders.
Okay, I got you. I mean, I can understand. I can see where you see. This is the thing. This is the thing. And I'm gonna ask you this question before I get into my soliloquy. You guys have 5 rings, right? Let's just imagine you guys. I'm gonna put you where we are.
Okay.
I know it's kind of hard, but I'm gonna put you to visualize. The 5 is a lot. So 5 rings. See, y'all got 5.
Okay.
And y'all at 2 now. So y'all won last year. So say y'all won 4 in a row. So it's safe to say after that 4th ring, you are comfortable, and you're used to it. You kind of get used to it. So I could take an L. So what would you rather see? Would you rather get that 6th ring or the Cowboys get to the Super Bowl and it's a Deshaun Jackson moment? You remember when he beat the Giants?
My favorite game of all time.
Yeah,
Outside of the 2 Super Bowls.
And everybody, we won.
That was awesome. I was watching that with Giants fans and Indigo Joes.
They kicked the ball, and the guy in the opposite team from the Cowboys in the Super Bowl get the ball and run it back.
Yeah.
Would you want that or that 5th ring?
Well, I'm going to say the 5th ring, but I got to make sure that I preface there's more to it than that. I want the Cowboys to lose every game they ever play, even preseason. Exactly. I want them to lose joint practices.
Exactly. So
that would be my answer no matter what.
What? So what would you? Okay, I can win. No, 6. I'm gonna just say 6 because now I can see you saying, well, no 7th ring, because I can see you saying, no, I got to get 5 and then I got to get 6 because we got to have more than y'all. So y'all got 6 rings.
Like Jordan.
Yeah, y'all got 6 rings like Jordan. So now I caught that. But y'all got 6 rings. So would you want your 7th ring or to see the Cowboys just destroyed and our hearts are just ripped out of our body?
I'd rather have the ring, no doubt.
You rather have the ring?
Because I want to see my team win more than I want to see your team lose.
Because
that's true.
It's a lot of people that would tune into a Cowboys loss and be more animated than tuning into to see their own team.
Now, I'll give you a prime example. Sunday, I'm paying for NFL Sunday tickets, so I was double mad about this. I'm missing our game had kicked off against the Chiefs. I waited all week to watch this game, and I'm having to sit here and watch this overtime with the Cap, and I'm sitting there in my garage. Get this mess off my TV and put the game on.
You're a true fan.
Get to it.
Yeah, you're a true fan. But, to kind of get back to your original question.
Some people would say they'd rather see the Cowboys.
A lot of people. A lot of people. And see, that's why we're not going away. Because I'd
have to come in and gently correct them to the side. Hey, no.
Because we have haters. We have the haters. As long as you got haters.
I'm both. I'm a Cowboys hater and an Eagles fan.
And see, the thing is with the Cowboys fans, we don't care anything about y'all. We don't care nothing about y'all. The only thing we want is the win. We want to win. We don't sit around talking about the Eagles fans. We don't sit around talking about the Giants fans. We sit around talking about Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott and how we go get to the Super Bowl. That's the only thing we worry about. But we got to defend ourselves, because the Eagle fans always talking. So we got to defend ourselves and, kind of, have some friendly banter back and forth.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, we are worried about our team. It's just everybody's worried about us. But then they're going to call us losers. And we don't win anything. But everybody love to see us do what they claim we always do anyway. So my thing is we're not going anywhere because we have fans and we got haters.
How much of that you think is Jerry's fault as a Cowboys fan? Serious question.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones and ESPN. How about that? A lot of the hate, the Dallas hate culture that exists.
Yeah.
How much of that do you think, as a Cowboys fan, is because of Jerry Jones and the media?
Talking about losing?
The hate that y'all get that you were just referencing.
Oh, yeah.
They don't make it any easier.
It's definitely media fuel. It's definitely media fuel. Stephen A. got a whole song about us losing. And people literally tune in when we lose just to see what Stephen A. is going to say. And you got to think these are casual fans, so if you could get a casual fan that really don't know the history or whatnot, and they're steady looking at Stephen A., and then when they hear what Stephen A. is saying, they're going to take that. And when they're out wherever and then a conversation come up, they're just going to say everything Stephen A. said to them when they were looking at him on First Take.
Well, the other side, too, is Skip Bayless. So now it's kind of the opposite effect. Skip Bayless can be a very not likable guy. It's easy to not like Skip Bayless, I would say. No disrespect to him intended. But his personality and the way that he, speaks about things. Yeah. And he's a big Cowboys cheerleader. So that doesn't help either.
Yeah. But I will say this, man. It's good for business. It's good for ESPN. It's good for Fox. It's good for the podcasters. It's good for everybody because we give content. Yeah. We give content, and then, eyes. Anytime you say Cowboys, people are going to look. So that's why I say the mystique will never die, because as long as somebody can make $1 off of you, you're not going anywhere. You know, I mean, and definitely long as Jerry is there. And a lot of people always talk about Jerry Jones. You know, Jerry Jones is the reason we can't win. I'll say this. Since the last 10 years, I think it was our team and another team put out the most all-pro players.
Jerry's drafted very well in recent history.
Jerry,
I'll give you that.
if we're good enough to get a number one seed, see, Jerry's just easy. Jerry is just he's just a low-hanging fruit where, you know, it's easy to get to him. But if we can get a number one seed, if we're good enough to get a number one seed, and then when we lose, oh, it's Jerry's fault. So will you give him credit for getting number one seed? I mean, Jerry can't get out there and tackle nobody. I mean, Jerry can't get out there, and when Dak Prescott starts off slow, now we got to scramble the whole game just to get back. Jerry can't control when Dez Bryant should have caught the pass, or was it a pass, or was it a catch, or was it not a catch? He can't control that. Jerry can't control when we're about to kick the field goal. We're about to kick the field goal to win. Tony Romo, bobble the ball. We're about to kick the field goal to win. Tony Romo, bobble the ball. We lose the game. But see, in all of this, oh, it's Jerry's fault. We ain't gonna never do anything to Jerry. See, Jerry is only a certain player that can play in Dallas. But you got to be able to play up on the lights. That's what I say about LeBron James. It's only a certain person that can play with LeBron James, because it's, you know, it's a reason why people leave the Cowboys and, you know, they play really good, or they'll leave LeBron and they play good, because the thing is, we're always in the spotlight, and if you can't handle it, get on.
Jerry loves that, though. That's why he built that big
$1
billion stadium.
He loves it, and we love it. We love it. He loves it. And, you know, like I say, you know, Michael Parsons is in Green Bay. Nobody's talking about him. Nobody cares. And, you know, we didn't need you anyway. We ain't need him.
They're looking pretty good.
Yeah, because he's their missing piece. We couldn't stop him running. I mean, we didn't do anything with him. Everybody, Michael Parsons. I mean, Philadelphia put up 41 points with the backup. Backup. I know you remember that. Backup.
Yeah.
It ran straight through the middle the whole game. I would rather you pass on me. But when you can run, that would just take your soul.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody can just run on you, there's nothing you can do. Now, if you passing, okay, we can go back and forth. But if you run it, see, the run sets up the play action. It sets everything up. So now, Saquon Barkley only ran for 60 yards. The last game, you know, Russell Wilson threw, but they ain't ran. You know, so if we can stop that run, everything else, you know, that's something to build off of. But with Michael Parsons, and he fades every year, 1 sack in all the playoffs. He fades, man. So, and he can't do his podcast in Green Bay, so he probably do that.
Can you imagine the New York Giants letting Saquon Barkley go to the Philadelphia Eagles?
I still don't understand.
And what would happen if he went to the Eagles and then the first year had a historic season and won a Super Bowl? Good thing that didn't happen.
Wow. I still don't understand.
Hey, at least you're not the Giants.
Yeah, I still don't understand how they let that happen. But, I mean, I get why they did it. I mean, you know, they weren't going to win anything, and then they still weren't going to win anything and had to pay. But I at least
tag and trade.
Yeah, that's why I say I at least would have signed him and made sure I wouldn't just let him go talk to people.
I will say this, for the Philadelphia Eagles, a lot of it comes down to Howie Roseman. You know, we talk about the players on the field. We can talk about the coaching staff. But we've been very fortunate to have the GM that's there.
I still can't understand how y'all can sign all y'all players and we can't sign our
He backloads the contracts. And I don't understand all of it because I'm not an NFL executive or anything. But
I don't get it, man. Everybody get paid. But with us, people can't get paid because this person got paid, but I don't get it. I don't get it.
And I think some of it too is what made the Patriots so successful is certain key guys willing to not set the market, you know. And because if you look at the Patriots' success, obviously we've learned now they had an all-time great quarterback in Tom Brady. Got to give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
And but they had he left money on the table sacrificially throughout his career for the desire to win.
Well known.
And then I think Bill Belichick demonstrated himself to be a very competent defensive coach and could get the most out of players and develop them. But they were constantly able to just bring in guys, shuffle veterans around, and draft decently, and really put their emphasis in the trenches, which I think I've always said that's the key. That's something Dallas has done well. I think that Jerry's done a good job at keeping his offensive line built and his defensive line as well. Same thing with us. If you can get to the quarterback with only 4 guys, you can win a Super Bowl, and that's what we did last year.
Definitely, yeah.
But what I was getting at though with that, with the salaries, see, look at the Bengals. So like the Bengals, their quarterbacks, Joe Burrow's out now because they don't invest that money to protect him. They put all this money in their wide receivers. Now Browning's throwing them the ball. He's going to get lit up too, probably, unfortunately. And it's all in how you run an organization. So, but I just think what Howie's figured out is a way to manipulate the rules. I don't understand how it works. I just know that, you know, he backloads that money. I think they pay money in bonuses up front, and that's how the guys get paid, but also minimize the cap hit on the team to keep building. But people don't realize this too. From being an Eagles fan, I'll say this real quick. Some of this is about to change. And the reason why, see, there was a long time where we kept striking out on draft picks. This is the same team that took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson.
Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that we would have been drafting CeeDee Lamb that year if it hadn't been for Dallas snatching him up. I think that's what was going to happen. And Jalen Reagor was plan B, but it should have been Justin Jefferson. Anyways, we struck out on some draft picks and made up for that through the trade market and free agency. But that's changed over the last few years. So Jalen Carter, obviously Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Reed Blankenship's turned out to be a great player. Now this year we're seeing Makuba, somehow Jahad Campbell slipped. And so there's been a lot of Landon Dickerson, a lot of guys that got drafted have turned out to hit well, and they're all going to have to get paid to keep that team at that level. Jalen Hurts, obviously. Devontae Smith, obviously. And so some of that, I think Howie's now is going to be difficult to keep doing what he's been doing because so many guys are going to have to get paid big time. This is why we lost Mekhi Becton and probably Isaiah Rodgers. And we're struggling now. Y'all tore us up that night. And then yesterday or Sunday was no different. But yeah, we had to let him walk because of the pay. So some of that's starting to tighten on Howie because now he's finally done a little bit better consecutively with drafting players too.
Yeah, so he just got to keep drafting. That's basically that's the only thing I could think of. He's just gonna have to continue to draft because they're gonna get paid and then leave, but you're gonna have to keep drafting. But you got your main guys though. Y'all had to let Darius Slay go. So and that's what a lot of people don't realize. Y'all let people go. But
we knew that was going to happen though because he got older. I thought they'd keep Isaiah Rodgers.
Yeah, but people just step in. But like everybody have their time. That's basically how I look at it. Everybody got their time. So
we didn't have no rings, and they just let us have it for that. They ripped us for years. I endured this all through elementary school, middle school, up into high school, and beyond. Yeah. I lived through this. This is all you heard, particularly from Cowboys fans, but also from Washington fans, also from Giants fans, and other fans for that matter around the league. Yeah. And now we're winning.
Correct. That's correct.
And finishing, and we still can't get the respect and the credit. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's because I think that there's a real possibility we're gonna run it back this year. So that's where I want to. That's where I want to. We'll cap this segment there. I want to ask you this. I want to let you have the floor and share. We're 2 weeks into the season. We already got Cowboys week in Philly out of the way. We'll see y'all again later.
Right.
Came away with a W. Wasn't pretty, but got it. And I expected it to be tough. I actually expected Sunday to be a much easier win for us in Arrowhead, believe it or not, and I did the Cowboys game.
Okay.
But so got away with the W without Jalen Carter. We'll let that rest. So here's my question to you. We're 2 weeks in. And I'll go ahead and I want to hear both teams. And if you want to just throw a Super Bowl pick in the mix too, you can do that. But maybe that's one of these two teams. What are you seeing? What's your prediction rest of the year? What do you see?
Well, let's start with the AFC. With Joe Burrow going down, that's
shifts some stuff.
Yeah, that shifts a whole lot. I think Baltimore is going to come out of the AFC North. I think it'll be between. It's hard to go against Patrick Mahomes, man. But
Yeah.
what I want to say is Josh Allen is going to pull it out and go to the Super Bowl. I want to give it to Josh Allen, but it's hard to go against Patrick Mahomes. I love Lamar Jackson, but I just think something is going to happen. And I think Lamar Jackson is the Dallas Cowboys of the AFC. Something is going to happen and they're not going to, something is going to happen and they're not going to make it. Because they can find a way to lose. Baltimore, because they dominated Buffalo that entire game, only to end up losing. So
Yeah.
I just think something's going to happen, and I think Josh Allen, this is his year. Not sleeping on the Chargers. I can see the Chargers because, their coach, he's known for turning programs around, and they looked good last night
Yeah.
as well. But I think between the Chargers and Buffalo, coming out of the AFC. Of course, with the NFC, the Rams,
We got them this
they're
week.
looking decent. They're looking decent in the West. Everybody is on the Bucks, but I still don't believe in the Bucks. I still don't. Green Bay, between Green Bay and Green Bay is probably the class in the North. So, and of course, in the East, the Cowboys. So, I think it probably will be between, depending on what Jadavion Clowney do, because we just got here.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be between 3 teams. Philadelphia. I get Philadelphia. Green Bay and the Cowboys. And I think the Cowboys probably, depending on, if we can get this pass and, because see, we didn't have Bland last week. So now you see what we did against y'all. See, but we didn't have Bland last week. We get Bland back. We got Trayvon Diggs. That's going to shore up the back end. We got Jadavion Clowney. We already can stop the run. That's all we need. And it's that year. So, yeah, the Cowboys. I think it's going between the Cowboys and Buffalo Bills. Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Probably a little biased, but that's what I believe. They say the same thing when I say God give me all my business. So I believe that. I believe probably. Nah, I definitely don't believe y'all going anywhere. I think Philadelphia is the Chiefs of last year because you're not even winning those close games.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of fool's gold because y'all got some. Y'all got some stuff y'all need to shore up. Y'all
Our offensive coordinator's in question right now.
Yeah, you guys are not as good as as your record. So that's honestly what I think about the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think we're gonna beat y'all when we see y'all again. We should have beat y'all the first game. And Dak has a good record against the conference. I mean against, the division.
Mm-hmm.
If he can't do nothing, we use a split with y'all.
Yeah.
And we just beat the Giants in Washington every time. But Jada Daniels hurt too, so
Yeah.
they don't know if he going with his ankle. No, I think that's the guy from Minnesota ankle, but they say his
Carson Wentz is starting from Minnesota next week.
So they say he's iffy. They say he's iffy for Jaden Daniels, but that's what I'm interested with Philadelphia to see what y'all gonna do. To see if y'all can right this turn because AJ is coming. He ain't say nothing for 2 weeks, but he's coming. Lord knows. You know how AJ is. If he don't get his if you don't get his catches now, he's coming now. AJ, you can. And I'm asking you as a Philadelphia fan, what you think about AJ? You think he gonna be quiet through all these wins? He ain't get no catches.
Well, there's two sides to that. I mean, yeah, he wants to get the ball, and all the great receivers do, but a lot of this is every week, and that's what he's getting aggravated about.
Yeah.
Because, I keep up with it. I watch and he, here they come to the locker after the game, and he's trying to tell them, if you listen to his responses, they're all team-oriented, team-friendly response. Like, look, man, we won the game. Like, we're focused on winning games. we all want to see him get the ball. I mean, the offense, Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown for 300 yards total yet. So Kevin Patullo's in question. We got these bad memories of Brian Johnson from a couple years ago, and we don't know what's going to happen. We didn't want to see Kellen Moore leave, but he earned that, and I don't know. We'll see, but I think it's much ado about nothing. To answer your question, it's the media trying to stir problems. I think that the NFL has an axe to grind with the Philadelphia Eagles. They wanted the tush push gone, and that didn't get voted away, and so
that should be gone.
No, it shouldn't. No, but it should be better officiated. I'll give you that. But you got people offsides on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, them false
people
starts.
lining up offsides. If
Tom
you go,
Brady and expose y'all.
But if you watch that particular play, the Chiefs jumped offsides as well, and none of it got called.
That's probably why they didn't call it, because everybody.
So
what they need to do,
quarterback sneak is all it is.
They need to walk right between all of them, right before it starts, and make sure everybody is on their side. But I think that what it was, Tom Brady exposed you guys. I think the guards, they always do the false start, and that's how they can get down there and everybody push.
Well, he stuck with it this year. But
I tell you one thing, I think they're gonna be looking at the next game though. The next time
it'll be gone next year. I don't think it's gonna survive another year.
Yeah.
But I mean, you go back and look at, you even I'll use the Super Bowl as a great example of historic butt kicking of huge proportions. We didn't need a tush push to win that.
No.
Dominance.
I mean, yeah, y'all dominated. I mean, like you say, man, y'all, whenever you can get to Pat Mahomes with 4 and everybody else, you can't beat nobody if they getting that pressure with 4 up front. I mean, you can't do nothing.
As Darius Smith looked, talking about signing Jadeveon Clowney, we also signed a veteran edge rusher, and he looked really good on Sunday. Really good. I'll say this. If Kevin Patullo is able to call offense at a high level, if he's able to call a game at a high level, right now everything's been very vanilla, and obviously we can't move the ball down the field. We went through this with Brian Johnson, and we changed coordinators, and we went and won the Super Bowl, had a historic season. So shout out to Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
That's going to be the big question. The only difference in this in 2023, though, is we still have Vic Fangio. And see, that year in 23, we won 11 games and then collapsed, but we had these new coordinators on both sides of the ball. Not so this time. Vic Fangio that's a big deal. So our defense should be able to keep us in games. We've hit on not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4, I would say at this point, rookies. Quinyon Mitchell, lockdown corner. Cooper DeJean, lockdown corner. Andrew Makuba looks like he's going to be as built. He's a ball hawk. He's already got a pick that turned a game Sunday. We saw that in camp. We saw that in the preseason, as long as he stays healthy. And then Jahad Campbell was much like Jalen Carter, should have never slipped to the Philadelphia Eagles as far as he did. He's a game wrecker. He's not just, I mean, he's a baller. And the Kobe Dean should be coming back in a few weeks. And so as long as he's recovered well from that patellar tendon tear, Jahad Campbell can move down to the line and add another pass rusher. And we just picked up Zadarius Smith. So the only weak link that I'm seeing right now, assuming everybody stays healthy, is cornerback 2. And those guys can compensate for that position. It's going to be a weak link, but if you're getting pressure on the quarterback, that can help. And that's not the end of that. Howie's never done. We traded for Jacorian Bennett, who was a starter in Oakland or Las Vegas and played well. He's just got to get up to speed. So I assume he's going to take over that spot, and we're hoping he's going to play better than we've seen from Adoree Jackson. I said all that to say that I think on defense, we still a big problem for every offense that we play. We're going to get better. Mind you, we had to on the fly change our entire game plan and adjust without the player that our whole defense is built around. In the Cowboys game, we still won the game, still basically shut the offense down in the second half. I tip my cap on that note to Vic Fangio. That's coaching to me. They made the adjustments, and I mean the second half defense was pretty lights out in that game, and he made the adjustments. That's experienced, skilled, perhaps Hall of Fame level coaching on his part. The offense is in question.
Well, I mean, 2 fumbles away from 0-2.
Yeah. Bo 2-0.
Yeah, 2 fumbles away. You know what I mean? If I caught at the running back, fumble the ball.
Can I tell you something real quick? They talk about the tush push. I saw a statistic yesterday. It said, they say the tush push is the reason the Eagles are winning, but it showed the giveaways and takeaways over how many ever games it's been over the last couple of years. And it was, if I remember correctly, it was 7 or 8 giveaways to 38 takeaways. This is why the Philadelphia Eagles are winning football games.
2 fumbles away. I mean, if Travis Kelce didn't give the ball to the guy, that would have been a loss.
That's the game.
And if our quarterback, we about to go in, no, the
Miles
running
Sanders.
back, yeah, Miles Sanders.
Ran his mouth too much coming up to the game.
I'm telling you, man, fumble the ball, man.
Jahad Campbell, the rookie, knocked the ball out. So that
and
was.
I mean, CeeDee Lamb, I ain't even bring up CeeDee Lamb, but it's.
But I think that the Eagles are going to run it back. That's what I think. So. We haven't even really played great football yet, and they're 2-0. So what happens if they start putting it all together? We saw this last year. We started out 2-2, went into the bye, wasn't looking great, and then went on a historic run.
I mean,
a lot of talent.
I mean, it sounds like you got all the answers, but like I said, 2 fumbles away from more too, and every year is not the same. So I mean, you can't look at last year and say we're gonna do this year because y'all don't have a lot of players on y'all team last year that y'all got this year.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts, he's a winner.
I was about to say that.
He's a winner, but he's not like that. He's not like that. I mean, he's not the quarterback that everybody's trying to make him out to be, but he's a winner. I give him that. But I'm just saying all that to say he has his flaws that you could take advantage of. But it's just something about a big game. He turns into Tom Brady. But he has flaws. He has real flaws that I think somebody can take advantage of, especially if you stop the run. If Saquon Barkley is what made y'all what y'all was last year, because nobody couldn't stop him. I mean, when you got somebody running like that, everything easy. I mean, you got the play action, everybody wide open. But when Saquon Barkley is not getting off, now it's all on you, Jalen.
But when you do have Saquon Barkley, you might just run some clock. Or maybe you just throw the dagger.
No, I'm just saying, but if Saquon Barkley ain't running, like he got to start getting off. Yeah, I caught it. But I mean, if he get off, it'll be a different story. But
Jalen is a winner. I was gonna say that. He's a Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl MVP, and he's also a Jordan Brand guy. And so with that said, shifting over, let's chat a little bit about this too. And I know I figured we would. I figured this would go longer than usual, but we'll try to keep it brief. But I want to have this segment. So another thing that I noticed, and this is actually what started it, was you made some post. I don't remember what it was, but it was very clear that you're a LeBron guy. And I want to open this conversation by saying this on the front end, because unlike the Dallas Cowboys, I'm not a LeBron hater. In fact, I feel like it's unfortunate that so much of LeBron's career has turned into this comparison. I like what Bud Crawford said Saturday or Sunday. Somebody asked him, they immediately started with the Floyd Mayweather comparisons, and his response was, I don't think there should be that comparison. I'm the greatest in my era. He's the greatest in his era. And I actually like that, not because it's a disservice to the guy that I do think is the better all-around player. I do think that I told you this. If I was starting a team, I'd take Mike over LeBron personally, and I have my reasons why for that, and we can get into some of that. But even though I feel that way, I don't feel that it's because of that, I feel like it affects LeBron more negatively than Mike, because Mike's career is over. He didn't have to play in that comparison. He had some of his own that people drew, but he kind of separated himself from that. But LeBron's had to play in this shadow so much of his career, and I believe it's unfair to him, because without a doubt, nobody should sit here and say he's not one of the top 5 all-around talents in the game of basketball we've ever seen or probably ever will see. Phenomenal basketball player, talent, without question. And to have to deal with that, to me, is a disservice to him, and I actually hate that for him. But nonetheless, here we are. ESPN's to blame a lot for that too. Unfortunately, they got to get their money, and it makes for good conversation. And then it's like a lot of things in life, it becomes multi-layered, because when people start picking sides on things, now other things that happen, people start to put under the magnifying glass as well. Now you got to deal with all that heat. And unfortunately for him, it is what it is on that note. I don't know that he cares that much, but I do feel that way. I just want to say, I'm not a LeBron hater. I think LeBron should get his credit. Same thing with Floyd Mayweather. I'm not a Floyd Mayweather fan on a personal note, that kind of thing. If you were to ask me who's the greatest boxer of all time, I would say Floyd Mayweather. I believe you got to give credit where it's due. Same thing with Brady. I said it earlier. I'm not a Brady fan. but you got to give credit where it's due. Especially in Tampa, we learned dude is greatness. Like you can't if you're not acknowledging that, then all you have is haterism.
Correct.
All right, so I just want to put that out there first in this discussion. But in the discussion, I do lean Jordan 100% heavily.
100%.
And I've got my reasons for that, and I could share those with you. But I don't. This was what was so interesting to me with you, and I did think you were younger than me, and I guess a big part of it was because of this. Because I don't think that we as a whole encounter a lot of people. I mean, you watched Mike play.
Exactly. He was my favorite player.
You don't encounter a lot of people. It's usually the younger folks that are below probably my age. And you know, I'm, like I said, I'll be 39 next month. So it's usually the people that are 35 or younger that really you would hear side with LeBron and the who's greater. I don't like the conversation. One more note on that, because great is subjective. What do you mean by greatest of all time?
But you do have an opinion on it.
But then it's like, well, what do you mean and what do I mean when I say greatest? And to me, it's the totality. It's the statistics, the accolades, the impact, the aura. It's all of that stuff. But I think even if you just took it down to statistics, I think statistically, you look on paper, Michael Jordan's a better player. I'll demonstrate that in a minute, I think. But you know, I don't know what people mean when they say it. So anyways, you don't meet a lot of people that are younger than 40, we'll say, or than 35 particularly, that side with LeBron, but you do. I want to hear you elaborate.
Well, as far as I was a Jordan fan, you know, and there's nothing wrong with Jordan, but this is the thing. When you start talking about LeBron James and the Jordan comparisons, Jordan is like a guy to everybody. So as soon as you start talking about facts and you start talking about numbers, everything goes out the window. You know, and the thing is with the Jordan fans, they will make how can I say it? They will make a point. And then I say, okay, based off of, you know, the parameters that you set, I'll make a point. But see, as soon as I make a point, now it don't count. You know, because see, with Jordan, I would be the greatest player as well if I played 6 years only and won 6 rings. That's great. But prior to, don't count. After 98, don't count. When he came back and lost, that also don't count. So if you're going to take out all of those years, I can't win. But with LeBron, every loss counts. Every loss counts. So it's like there's no play. Jordan cannot do what LeBron can do. When I'm talking about a basketball player, I'm talking about a basketball player. Yes, Jordan had the best moments. You know, if you want to look at moments, his moments peak. But if you're talking about a basketball player that made all NBA for 20 years, over 40,000 points, he's in the MVP. He's on the MVP. He's top 5 MVP. 20 years later, he's averaging 25 at 40, averaging 25 at 19. There's no player that ever did that. And he didn't take a rest. Jordan took a rest. Mentally, Jordan was not, everybody always said, well, Jordan was not mentally, he was more mentally fierce than LeBron. You know, I wouldn't agree because he quit. He quit and went somewhere else. And then he was able to get 18 months of rest. You know, he can rejuvenate his mind, get right. Then he came back for the next 3. And then on top of that, oh well, LeBron always went to other teams and he got this list, and he always went to other teams. Okay, I give you that. But Jordan didn't have to go to other teams because all of the Hall of Famers was on his team. And to make you and to go a little further, he quit again. Because they said if you don't sign Phil Jackson back, if you don't sign Pippen, well, I think Pippen played after 98. I don't remember. But I know Phil Jackson was going to leave. He said, if Phil don't come back, I'm quitting. But see, LeBron never ran from that. LeBron never ran from a new coach. As a matter of fact, LeBron made coaches. He made coaches. He didn't have only thing Jordan had to do was score. He had Pippen did all the other stuff. He facilitated, he guarded Magic, he guarded Mark Jackson. He guarded all the players. Jordan, only thing he had to do was score. He didn't have to worry about a coach. He had the best coach. He had all the Hall of Famers was on his team. All of them. It wasn't no Hall of Famers in the rest of the league. It was just him.
Huh?
It wasn't. Yeah. I make my points now. I'm not just talking. From a guard standpoint. Look it up. He wasn't. He didn't play against no Hall of Fame guard. All the Hall of Fame guards was in the West, so he only had to pay one of them.
Reggie Miller? Is that who you're talking about?
Reggie Miller, come on now. That's what we doing.
Reggie?
So that's his competition, Reggie.
Well, I was asking, is that the one that you're talking about?
Yeah, Reggie Miller.
Okay.
Reggie Miller. I mean, I give you Dominique Wilkins too, but I mean, really, that's what we doing. I mean, he played in an era of big men. It was all about the big man. So with Jordan and Phil crafted the triangle that could take the big man, that they could beat a team with big men. So now, if I got a Hall of Fame coach that's going to craft this triangle to where we will put the big man in a position that they can't use their greatest powers, their strengths against us, then okay, now I'll put Jordan in, and his biggest competition was John Starks. The Joker been going against Jeff Hornacek. I mean, really? Jeff Hornacek can't even make a team these days. So I mean, he didn't have any competition, man. I mean, it wasn't like his in the guards. There was no guards to guard him. So that's the only thing I'm saying. Like, the boy quit, man. And like LeBron, overall player, man, there's nobody. Jordan came at the best time. He came after Isaiah Thomas and them got old. That's a fact. After they got old. And he got there before Kobe, AI, Tracy McGrady, Tim Duncan, all of them got in their prime. And he knew they was coming. So he just he played against all them boys their rookie year. Grant Hill came in, but Grant Hill got hurt. Grant Hill came in 95. So all these people came in, but it was like 1, 2, 3 years in the league. See, he didn't have these bona fide dogs that he had to go against in the height of his career. Jeff Hornacek, John Starks. And Reggie he in a track meet. He want to run around all the picks all day. He don't want to do none of that. And then I got Pippen to guard him. Reggie ain't had no handles. He couldn't dance like that. I mean, he just shot. So, like,
I love Reggie Miller. He's one of my favorite players.
Yeah,
too,
so you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't Reggie Miller didn't make his own shot.
That's how I would play because of that. Actually, just running around and
Yeah,
try to get
he
get
didn't
the
make
ball
his
off.
only
Yeah.
thing I'm saying, he didn't make his own shot. And Reggie Miller was a dog. I mean, New York still hate him forever. But I'm just saying, he didn't have the competition that everybody and I think people don't look into all of that.
So, okay, let me just throw a couple things real quick, because a lot of times in this conversation, what I've heard, at least over the years, is the Jordan defenders don't want to talk statistics, and then they'll run off LeBron statistics. And what I view it is actually a little bit different, because that's kind of the first place that I go, and then I look at the whole picture. The other thing that people point out with LeBron is the longevity, but both these guys played up to 40. Couple of things I want to point out. One, check this out. So Michael Jordan he averaged about 21 plus points per game with the Wizards. It's like 21.2 or something like that. Vince Carter,
2-year rest.
That's fine, but Vince Carter.
I just want you to
I'm gonna
put
touch
that
on that too,
context. I just because see people say 21, but just started out with he got a rest.
Well, it's debatable if that would have been helpful or harmful, I think.
Oh, wow.
Because I think that if Mike would have played in 94 through 95 and he would have, the Bulls would have stayed intact. Okay, so they retire, or he retires, and then, Phil's gone. Who plays in the finals the next year? David Robinson and the Spurs and the Knicks.
Correct.
Do the Bulls come out of the East again? I think so. I think if their team is still intact, Rodman, they come out of the East again. Mike was still at the peak of he was still playing,
Correct.
putting up at the same level. So, and Scottie Pippen went on to Portland and played fantastic basketball.
Mm-hmm.
They actually made a push with Arvydas Sabonis and Damon Stoudemire and those guys. So, yeah, I think they come out of the East again, and then they go to the finals and they win again in '99. The next year, you got. I think so. You don't think they would win again?
Huh?
I do. So then I do. And then the next year, you got the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, that would have been interesting. That would have been a showdown. I would have loved to see it. Instead, we got Reggie Miller and the Pacers that year. If I remember correctly, that was the first one on their run.
Right.
Excellent final series for what it was worth. But that would have been interesting. Could they have, all getting older now, could they have got through a young Shaq and Kobe? I don't know. That would have been interesting to see. And then the next year, he's with the Wizards. So, in my opinion, those two, I still think they would have made it. They probably would have. There'd have been, you can make a good case that the finals in 2000 would have been the Lakers versus the Bulls again. Now that's tricky because now Phil's over there. So how does that all work? I'm just saying we can't go back in time and change that.
Because I'm just saying he got to pick with another coach. LeBron did it.
Or Kobe's playing with another coach because maybe in that scenario Phil probably never leaves.
Because what you're saying is no, Phil's gonna leave. Cross wasn't gonna bring him back.
Right. Well, but that was what dismantled the whole team. So I'm saying if that didn't happen.
But because see, that's what I'm saying with the Jordan fans. Everything got to be perfect with him.
No,
let's talk about Jordan with another coach. And Phil Jackson is over there.
Yeah.
Because LeBron had to play against Tyronn Lue. So let's talk about Jordan. Phil went over there. And I just want you to continue to talk. Because, see, y'all don't, that's why I say everything got to be perfect.
Let me finish where I was going. So, because really where I was going was points per game. Vince Carter had, we talk about longevity, more longevity than about anybody we've seen, a phenomenal offensive player in his time. So, that was his game. Also a North Carolina guy. And he played till he was like 43. So to match the age, late 30s going into 40, you got to go back to his time with the Grizzlies. How many points per game was Vince Carter averaging with the Grizzlies?
I'm not sure.
6.9.
Okay.
Michael Jordan comes back playing with the Washington Wizards and is averaging 21.2, I think, or 21.3, something like that, points per game. The only reason I'm saying that is one of the big things that LeBron advocates point out is the level that LeBron's playing. Now, granted, LeBron's 25 plus points per game and the level he's playing is better than that. Right. I'm not saying it's not but
close.
When I look at the comparison, there's only 2 to 3 categories that I could look at and say, okay, I have to give the edge to LeBron there, and I'm going to tell you what they are. The longevity, but that's not as far out as I hear some people make it. It's kind of crazy. And to figure that out, you got to go backwards.
It's crazy to me. Like,
it's not because it's all there though. It's all in black and white.
What's in black and white?
I just gave you one example with the points per game. So yes, he played at a better level, but it's not that much separation. We're talking about 4 points a game. And by the way, let me ask you a question.
There's no context, but you ain't giving the context though.
Is it easier to score in today's game than it was 25 years ago?
Is it easier to score?
Yeah. Is it easier to score points in the NBA now than it was 25 to 35 years ago in that range?
The game is, I wouldn't say it's easier because, see, the players are better. So if you're going to put a Kyrie with what he doing back in Jordan era, who guarding him? If you're going to put a Tracy McGrady in Jordan era, Tracy McGrady 6'9", dancing, shooting from 40, who guarding him? So I think what we got to understand is, because a lot of people say, well, it was harder. No, it's the reason why they're scoring more. The player, the individual player is better. So if a player is better, that means he's going to score more points. Now, if you're going to tell me Jordan can't average 25 against Jeff Hornacek and John Starks,
I would disagree with the idea that the players are better for one. Now, I think that's an opinion. The floor is spread out. The game's different. It's no different than the NFL. With the passing game, the football has changed from what it was in the 90s. It's not necessarily because the guys are better now. We have advancements in nutrition, and I think I was talking to a basketball coach a couple weeks ago, and he made a comment, or maybe it was a conversation I heard. I don't remember which one it was, but the comment was, a lot of these guys focus on their ball handling, but just give me a guy that can go right or left, because whenever the lights go on in a game, that's all you're going to need. You need to be able to go right. You need to be able to go left. You need to be athletic to be able to do that quickly, and you need to be able to finish. You need to understand the floor in the game. The game has changed, so 3-point percentages are higher. I've got kids that play basketball. I think you got all these kids want to shoot threes now, and some guys our age had to understand the transition that was happening because it drive you crazy. Back when we were playing basketball as kids, what did coach say? Stop shooting all them threes. The game's changed, and people like Reggie Miller, then Ray, and now Steph, obviously being at the top of that line, have changed the game. And I'm not arguing with that. I'm just saying that the game itself, the floor is spread out. I pointed this out to my son. I showed him a graphic. You take Wemby, put him next to Shaq, David Robinson, Karl Malone, but particularly let's say Shaq or David Robinson, center for center. What's he going to do with them under the basket? Now, out at the perimeter, Shaq's going to struggle defensively in that matchup. But the context of the game back then, he's not going to be out there anyways. Wemby can't play in the 90s game, I don't think. Or maybe he can. It'd be interesting. We don't know, but it would create it would be an anomaly. I mean, it would be strange. I don't know how that would work out. The point I'm making is the game itself has changed. And I would argue the way the game is today, yes, there are guys that handle the ball better than, a lot of what we've seen. We didn't see, like when Iverson came on the scene, his ball handling was at a level that we hadn't seen a lot of. Not to say other guys couldn't handle the ball, but prior to him, I would say that Magic Johnson could handle the ball really well.
Which is Jordan era. Because, see, the Jordan era...
But it's not the guys couldn't handle it. The style of play was different.
Because, see, the people that you're... It's interesting that the names that you're calling. Magic Johnson was pre-Jordan, and Allen Iverson was post-Jordan. So, I'm talking about the Jordan era, and just from a subconscious standpoint, the names that are flowing out of your mouth, none of them played in the Jordan era. So that's just, when you start saying 35 years ago, I'm talking about the Jordan era. That's why Jordan was so good, because he was the only one other than Dominique Wilkins, but Dominique couldn't, he couldn't dance like that. But it really wasn't, I mean, he really was one of a kind. But now we probably got 100 Jordans in the league now.
So let's just say that you're right about the competition level in the 90s. Okay. Let's just assume that he didn't have any competition. He was playing against plumbers and mechanics.
Plumbers and mechanics, correct.
Let's assume that. I think that's absurd.
Yeah, name one.
So let's just do this though. Let's skip through it and say that you're right. All right. So Jordan averages 30.1 points per game and about 33 points per game in the playoffs.
Correct.
To LeBron's 27-ish in the regular season over the course of his career.
Correct.
So let's just say that the competition level was horrible, and that lended itself to Michael Jordan's dominance. If you take Michael Jordan, same player, and he's drafted, let's say the same year as LeBron, you drop him into today's game, do you think that Mike averages more than 30.1 points per game or less?
He'll average what Kobe averaged. We done seen that. That's the same. Kobe is a better version of Jordan.
Kobe's a better version of Jordan.
I mean, he could do more stuff offensively, and he could do this. I mean, he can go for one. He can go left. I mean, Jordan couldn't even go left. I mean, you know that, right?
He could go left.
I mean, you know that was the scouting report. Make him go left because he. I mean, you can look it up.
But he could do it.
I mean, you can look it up. I mean,
he averaged 30.1 points per game. So obviously it didn't work.
I mean, he didn't have to, but I'm. These are facts. I mean, he couldn't go left, but Kobe is granted, he learned everything from Jordan. I give Jordan that. But you can't just, there would be no DVD if it wasn't a VCR. There would be streaming. Like, this is the thing. Jordan is the VCR tape that everybody continue to look at. You got to know people going to eventually get better. I mean, Jordan gives people all of this information, and you guys are telling me nobody out of the last 35 years didn't take this and got better. I mean, food got better, cars got better, real estate, everybody got better. But Jordan, but that VCR tape in 1984 is still the standard. Like, Jordan can't even sell, all the shoes Jordan can sell is the shoes that he played in. Even his Jordans ain't even got better. Everybody just still stuck.
LeBron can't sell none of
Yeah,
them.
I mean, he got $1 billion lifetime. I mean,
He does.
Nike had to give him something.
But I didn't want to go to you brought it up, but that's impact. That's impact.
The only thing I'm saying is like Jordan. If we put Jordan in this era, he would have to get better, right? Do you agree? Could he take that? He would have to get better. Or you're saying that he could take that same game and dominate?
I think what would happen if you plugged him into today's game, the only difference would be, yes, he could take his game and play, but what you would see with Mike is a huge uptick in the amount of 3-point attempts, and I would argue
so he would have to get percentage.
Better. Because the game has changed, though.
It ain't really about him. Would have to get better.
I wouldn't say he'd have to get better. I would say that what you would see from him would be different than what you saw in the 90s because the game has changed. You would see Michael Jordan as more of a 3-point shooter. There's no doubt in my mind that he would be able to be at the top level of 3-point shooters, and I can tell you why. And even from just playing the game myself is now obviously not to the high level, but I'm just saying that he was a quality free throw shooter. And so I know for me as a kid working a lot at the free throw line, there was a point in my life, and every now and then on Friday nights it'll come out on the young guys that I play with down here, and I'll hit a rhythm. Last Friday was one of them, but that work at the free throw line would translate to my jump shot as well. And Mike was a great free throw shooter by and large. I think he's at like 82% on his career and a little bit higher in the playoffs.
Great. I mean, 82 is not great.
But it, it would still lend itself to, he was a decent 3-point shooter and would have been even better.
I mean, that's a C. 82% is a C. So he was average. I mean, 82 is not great. That's what I'm saying about these Jordan fans. 82%. He was a great.
Well, LeBron's a 74% free throw shooter.
He's a great free throw shooter. Like, dude, 82%. Like, I mean, that's great.
So what's 74%?
That got to be good. Really good.
Well, by the grading scale, if
82 is great, 72 got to be.
So what?
Really good.
So this is where we'll drive this to the we'll hit it to the core. So a lot of times in this conversation, this is what's happening today is the LeBron fans will say, well, you got to look, Jordan fans don't want to talk statistics. I think they should. I don't see why they shouldn't. There's no reason to not talk statistics. I'm going to give you some examples of that here in a second. But then it shifts, and this has really been the main narrative for the longest. Is what we're seeing today. It's well, Jordan didn't have any competition. He played plumbers and mechanics. These guys were all bums. They were all trash.
Hornacek.
So
John Starks.
So at that point, there's really nothing you could do. All we have is what history has written. We've got the numbers. So both of these guys, LeBron has announced, and it does sound like unless he, that changes, that this will be his last season. So he'll play up into 41. So he'll have a little bit of extra time on the back end than Jordan had. The front end was different because he came straight out of high school. Again, Mike in a different time period, went to college, won a championship at North Carolina, hit a game-winning shot, played 2 more years there. So theoretically, if he comes into the league right out of high school, that would inflate his numbers even more as well. He'd have more statistics, is what I'm saying.
So you're saying Jordan he could have played at 18 in college, in the NBA. That's what you're saying.
I don't know. I wasn't alive in 1982 or 81, and I wasn't alive.
What these Jordan guys?
I wasn't alive. Man. What do you want me to say? I know that he went to North Carolina and won a national championship. And hit a game-winning shot.
He played 3 years.
Yep, he did.
3 years.
But he does have a national title. And when we're talking about greatest basketball player of all time, this is why I said we have to define greatest. That should matter. That doesn't come off the table. That's a big accomplishment. Not many guys have a national championship, and even less of them
we're talking
hit
about
the game-winning shot.
We're talking about the NBA because clearly, if
if
LeBron was averaging.
Without a lot of the what if. So the way that I view this is there's 3 categories that I have to look at LeBron and say, okay, on paper and from what I've seen with my eyes, not assuming anybody's competition level because you got Hall of Famers. So you've got points per game, obviously, that went to Jordan. So he had 30.1 points per game. LeBron's at, I think it's 27.4 or 5, something like that.
Talking about career.
Yeah.
So Jordan career average 30.
So I think you got the better score would be Michael Jordan.
Okay.
When I look at LeBron, I'd say there's 3 categories that I would consider him to give him the edge at being greater than Mike. One would be, of course, longevity, even though the only point I was making, that's a lot closer than people realize. Mike played till he was 42, and he played at a high level.
Well,
Not as high as what LeBron's doing currently, granted, but it's sometimes people throw that out there, and it may sound like Mike was just a bum out there and didn't play till he was 40. He did, and he wasn't a bum.
Because I'm not trying to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I just want you to, when you say play till 42, see, your viewers would think that he came in 84 and played
Well, he was 40 years old playing in the NBA. Yeah.
And he played till 2001, which isn't the case. He took 3 breaks in between. Or 2 breaks. He retired.
I'm gonna get there. I'm getting
there. So, but he didn't play 242. Like, I just want you to bring some context. So you're saying that
the wear and tear on the body was
well,
he also only missed 7 games out of 11 seasons, and LeBron's missed 142 games out of 430 with the Lakers. So you got load. So I mean there's more context than variables to that conversation as well, just for the record. But the point that I was simply getting at, just to keep it out of the weeds, is both these guys played in the NBA till they were 40 years old. Is a great accomplishment. And LeBron has done it at a higher level. I'll concede that. Statistically, the only category that I can see where LeBron, I have to give the edge to him in a statistical category is assist. LeBron James, as an all-time assist leader, I think one time, and averaged more assists per game than Michael Jordan. All right, so that's good. So I give him that as well. But I look at other categories statistically, and then also the other one will be rebounds. He had more rebounds. Now, to be fair, in my opinion, I would expect this because he plays a different position. He's a forward. You mentioned guards earlier. If he didn't average more rebounds per game than a guard, then that would be questionable. Like, why is that? But I give him that though. But that's true. So I give him the rebounds too. But every other category I have to give to Jordan though. He's a better scorer. 10-time scoring leader in the league, averaging 30.1 points per game, and 3-time steals leader in the league, 1-time defensive player of the year. So if I'm looking at these accolades, which are tied to the statistics, then I've got LeBron with an all-time assist leader. Jordan does not have one of those. But to match that, I got to give Jordan 10-time scoring leader to 1, and 3-time steals leader in the league, and a defensive player of the year to accompany that LeBron doesn't carry.
Okay. And that, I mean, I agree. That's a great point because
one more thing real quick. Statistically, for the career, LeBron averages about 1 turnover per game more than Michael Jordan. In the playoffs, that number shrinks a little bit to about half, about 0.5. But it's slightly an edge in protecting the basketball would go to Mike in that category as well. Now, I would argue, say, well, and this is the way I would say it, LeBron is a better facilitator than Michael Jordan on the court. And it make your teammates better, pass the ball, and you measure that with assists. That's obvious. I can't argue that. What I would counter that with is that, and, kind of going back to something that, just to tie this back, my quarterback Jalen Hurts deals with a lot these days. If I'm leading the league in scoring 10 times and we're winning championships, then I have no need to pass the ball. I have no need to focus on that. I don't need that statistic. It'd be great if I could boost my Russell Westbrook's a great example. How many championships does Russell Westbrook have?
None.
No, who's been averaging triple doubles for a whole season?
Russell Westbrook.
Insane talent. Yeah. No rings.
Yeah, correct. I agree.
One more thing that I would point out, too, is we mentioned Hall of Famers. Now, you correct me if I'm wrong, because I may be wrong about this. So I'm not saying that I'm right. But if I'm correct, Michael Jordan played his career on his team with 3 Hall of Famers. Who's the 4th?
What?
I'm counting Phil Jackson.
When?
So Dennis Rodman.
Well, that's really 4 because Kukoc is Hall of Fame, too.
Okay, I didn't know the Kukoc was in the Hall. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got Kukoc, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman. Is Kukoc in the Hall?
I think so.
I'm gonna look that up.
I'm almost positive in the Hall.
I'm gonna look that up afterwards.
Seem like I can remember his.
How many did LeBron play with that were relevant? Because he played with Carmelo, we don't even count that because Carmelo's on the back end of his career. No disrespect to Carmelo, phenomenal basketball player, particularly offensively. But by the time they played together, they didn't really bring much to the table. But actually, players that contributed to the success of LeBron's team in any of those given years, how many Hall of Famers or potential Hall of Famers that we know will be in the Hall did he or has he played with? If I'm correctly counting, the answer is 7.
Okay.
We can go through the list on them: Dwayne Wade, Kyrie Irving, Chris Bosh, Ray Allen, Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic now, and I'm missing somebody. Who is it? Help me out.
Well, Luke ain't in the Hall yet.
No, he's not. But at the rate he's going, he'll be there. Though.
Kyrie ain't in the Hall yet.
He's not. But I said people that Kyrie's not going to be in the Hall.
I mean, but you said 7, like these.
Yeah, but these. Well, because the difference is his career hasn't finished.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
They're going in the Hall, right? Maybe Luka, maybe not. Luka could fall on. He could get hurt. God forbid.
I agree.
And I don't think he's done enough yet to make it. We're assuming heavily with him. Kyrie's in.
Yeah,
he's in.
I agree. 100% everything that you're saying.
So we've got more Hall of Famers playing the game with LeBron than we do with Mike.
No, so you really can't say that.
How not?
Because you can only play if I'm playing with these same Hall of Famers for this every year. I'm playing with Hall of Famers. The only reason LeBron got more because he was on different teams.
Does that make it worse or better?
Well, I think it makes it better for LeBron.
Sure, for him, but I mean, in terms of this conversation of the greatness of two players.
No, because see, the thing is, the question is not how many Hall of Famers you played against. It's about how many Hall of Famers was on your team. No,
that's what I'm saying.
No. The question isn't how many Hall of Famers.
You're saying how many you played against.
No. I apologize. The question is not how many you played with. It's about how many was on your team and who you played against. See, LeBron had Hall of Famers, but he played against teams with the same amount of Hall of Famers, if not more. My point was there was only that many Hall of Famers in the league, and 3 of them was on Jordan team. Those 4 Hall of Famers.
Look that up real quick. If Kukoc is in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. They were playing against international star. They had to recruit him to come here. Kukoc was not a slouch. They had to recruit him.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. They had to recruit him, right? They had to recruit him to come over here.
Well, they brought Rodman in too.
He came in as a star. So you got 4 on your team. And who are you playing against? Are they any Golden States out there? Are there any San Antonios? Is any Derrick Roses out there?
Dallas Mavericks.
Dallas Mavericks. They had Nowitzki, Jason Kidd, that too right there. That was a solid team. That's the same team because see, this is what people don't talk about. That's the same team that swept Kobe. You remember that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they swept Kobe. So, but when they beat LeBron, he should have killed them. But they swept, and Kobe just won it.
They should have beat him.
They just won it that year prior. They just won it all. So it's like they had the same team. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make.
You're not saying Dallas is trash, but I think that they should have. Miami should have been able to win that.
Yeah, they should have. They should have. I give them that. But the Dallas Mavericks, they was a really good team. But basically, and the reason, and that just speaks to the greatness of LeBron, that how everybody just looked down on that team because how great LeBron is. Because that same team swept Kobe, and everybody say Kobe better than LeBron. But I'll leave that there. But the point I'm trying to
a different one.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is all of the Hall of Famers was on. Even if we just take out Kukoc and we got 3 Hall of Famers and an international superstar, can we say that?
3 Hall of Famers and an international superstar, Tony Kukoc. Yeah, Tony Kukoc was great.
Yeah, and a great player. So we got 3 Hall of Famers and a great player.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't think there's been a team that's ever won a championship that didn't have multiple big time players on the team.
The point I'm trying to make is the people that he played against. He didn't play against a team. He didn't play against a team that had 2 Hall of Famers. I'm thinking.
Sean Kemp, Gary Payton.
No, Sean Kemp ain't
Sean
no
Kemp's
Hall
not
of
in the
Fame.
Hall?
No, come on.
You sure?
No, Sean Kemp ain't in the hole, man. Sean Kemp ain't in the hole. Come on, don't do that. Don't do that. Sean Kemp could do no dunk. But
Karl Malone and John Stockton?
yeah, Karl Malone and John Stockton. I give you that. But he got 3 in the international superstar. Really 4. Cool coach.
Look who coach up. While you're doing that, I would say it comes down to competition. So if I've got one player that's created regardless of how we got there, all we know is we're in a situation where we have to look at it and say there was nobody that could beat him. Nobody was good enough. That's what we're basically saying. We've got another player that we're advocating for and saying, well, yes, he had 7 Hall of Famers he's played with throughout the peaks of his career, but they couldn't get over the Dallas Mavericks. They couldn't get over the San Antonio Spurs.
I just want you to read that for your viewers. Read that for your viewers.
Tony Kukoc, as of 2021, is in the NBA Hall of Fame, the Naismith, particularly NBA Hall of Fame. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so he had 4 Hall of Famers. Like I said,
One of them a coach.
He had 4.
He played with 3. So Dennis
So
Rodman.
including him, it was 4 Hall of Famers that was on the court.
Yeah.
It was 4 Hall of Famers. Now,
fair enough. Same thing with the Miami Heat, though.
Oh
so
my
you got
God.
Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Ray Allen, and LeBron James.
And we got Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Draymond Green.
Well, they beat the Thunder.
And Klay Thompson.
They
No,
nearly,
Ray Allen wasn't there that first year.
What I'm saying, but that Miami Heat team,
and the
though,
Thunder.
they beat,
We can talk about the Thunder. Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook, 3 Hall of Famers. See, that's my only point. Like he got Hall of Famers on his team, but he's playing against people who got just as many Hall of Famers.
Well, they were on the front end of their career. Though.
Jordan got four Hall of Famers that take the court every night with a coach, a Hall of Fame coach.
Well, he's one of them.
Yeah.
So you got 3 other Hall of Famers.
4 people. He's one of them. So including him, there's only 5 people to be on the court at one time. And let's throw in the multiple All-Star Ron Harper. Right?
Good,
yeah. So we got Ron Harper. But people, I see why they ain't a super team. Like, but my whole point is who he play against. The people that he's playing against, he might play against a team that got 2 Hall of Famers. Utah. But New York, 1, Patrick Ewing, Indiana 1, Reggie Miller, Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't even remember who else he played against. Like he ain't play against nobody, man. That's my whole point. Like Jordan, everybody always say he the great. You gonna get the great is the GOAT. 3 other Hall of Famers and a Hall of Fame coach. I see why he won everything.
But
and you
we can say the
rest.
same thing about LeBron, though, from that standpoint. In terms of on his team.
But his competition.
So it keeps coming back to that's what I'm
like
saying.
The competition that he's going up against.
Here's the problem with that, though. This is the problem with it.
Okay.
I can't do nothing about that. But if I came out and played the game and I dominated, that's all I did was dominate. And the accolades are there. I think there's 38 accolades to 13 or 14 or something like that. 3-time steals leader, defensive player of the year, 10-time scoring champion, 6-time champion, 6-time finals MVP. I think, was it 5-time All-Star MVP, 2-time dunk contest champion. So you got all these accolades in the game. I can't help the era I played, but I do know this. I thoroughly dominated that. I have some Hall of Famers. Yeah, I did, but so did you. And you have more than I did.
But the point is who you.
So who does that? If you take somebody from a third world country,
yeah, and say
I'm gonna bring that back to you now.
Right,
you lay all this out on paper,
right?
And they say, and they're looking at it. I think the only thing that they really would catch their attention on the LeBron side is say, well, when I'm looking at LeBron's numbers, blocks per game, it looks like both players were about the same. This player has more assists per game, but this player has more steals per game. So really what I just see is the totals of statistics are much higher, but I also see this player play 500 more games. And then when I'm looking at this player's career, the games that are missing are in the middle of the career. So obviously this guy got hurt or he stepped away or something like that. And the fact is he didn't get hurt. He did have that one season he was injured early on, but he missed 7 games in 11 seasons. And then he missed you probably got a total of about 300 games that Michael Jordan could have played, but he didn't because he retired to play baseball. And that was what I was going to say earlier. That man had to make his own decisions. I can't. There's a lot of external factors that were happening in his life that I can't do nothing but say, hey, he had to do what he felt like was right for him. And then he retired because we all saw The Last Dance, everything that happened with the Bulls. We know that. But the bottom line is these things, especially the mid 90s, was in the meat of his career. So if I'm in a third world country and I'm looking at all this, I look at all the accolades, 38 to like 13. And I'll give you this. Jordan fans always say 6 rings to 4. I find it super impressive that LeBron James been to 10 NBA finals.
Mm-hmm.
This guy went to every year. LeBron's going to be in the final. Like, granted, he was in the East and a lot of that time, the East was very weak. All the competition was in the West. But nonetheless, like I said, I believe in giving credit where it's due. Extremely impressive. Extremely impressive.
Right.
But if I'm in a third world country, I'm looking at the statistics, the points per game. The rebounds per game is the nod to LeBron, but it's relatively close. The free throw percentage, the nod's pretty significant number in favor. It's almost 10% in favor of Michael Jordan, especially in the playoffs, whenever it matters the most. And I'm seeing all of this. I think that anybody would have to say, this guy's got more numbers due to playing more games, but this is the better player. This is who I'd rather have on my team.
That's it, from a third world country. So I guess when you start talking about because you're being sleep, I'll give you that. But I find it curious that you went through all of these scoring titles and accolades when it comes to scoring. And said,
why wasn't anybody else scoring at that clip in that
watch
time
this,
period?
Watch this, and I'm gonna give it to Jordan. I'm gonna give this to Jordan. But you never said who's the all-time leading scorer. Like, you just conveniently left that out. That
I alluded to
he's not only, I mean, that should have been the first thing you said. I mean, he's only the all-time leading scorer,
but not on a per game average
ever. But see, people from third world country, I know points per game. I mean, they're okay. Well, he's the all-time leading scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? And he played. And I'm just say this. If Michael Jordan played 20 consecutive years, do you think, how many rings you think he'll have?
If he would have stayed in 94, 95, he doesn't leave to go play baseball. I think that I don't have any reason to sit here and say that the Bulls couldn't win another championship.
Okay.
And I don't have any reason to sit here and say they couldn't win the championship the year after that because they came back the year behind that playing these same teams and ran through the league. Then they go on to win 72 games. So I'm going to say that I don't think it's unrealistic at all. Y'all let me know if you think otherwise, that it's unrealistic at all to say that the two opportunities, because he only played 17 games that season where he came back.
Right.
With the 45, then yeah, they could win both of those. Now we're at 8 rings. I think that they win 1999. I think they go through the East. They beat the New York Knicks.
You can't make this stuff up.
I think they beat the New York Knicks. Who's beating the Chicago Bulls?
You can't make this stuff up. You can't. So you're telling me
I think
Jordan,
that he could have 9 rings. Yeah,
oh
and
God.
I think the biggest challenge would come in 2000 playing against Kobe and Shaq in the Lakers. That would be challenging.
You know why? This stuff up.
Because Shaq was probably about the most dominant force we've seen. Shaq would have been a problem for the Chicago Bulls.
So you're trying to tell me
9 rings.
You think Jordan would have won 9 straight rings?
Nobody stopped him in any of the other years. Why not?
I'll break it down to you. I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
What happened to Dwayne Wade during their run?
What you mean?
During the 4-year run, what happened to Dwayne Wade by the end of it?
What happened to him?
Mm-hmm. He got hurt. What happened to Kyrie Irving? He got hurt. Kevin Love, he got hurt. There was only one person that was healthy doing 10 finals appearances. That was LeBron James. And you mean to tell me they're going to max every game out every year? Because y'all see Jordan never low managed, right? He never low managed, right?
Well, he missed 7 games in 11 seasons.
I understand that. So it's safe to say that he don't low manage like LeBron.
Yeah.
So he's going to play 82 games, 9 straight seasons, and go through the whole playoffs, and the whole team gonna stay together. Nobody's gonna get hurt, and they're gonna do 9 in a row. I can point to Kansas City Chiefs.
But I can't assume injuries because then anything could happen.
No, that's the
They
game.
won 6 championships, 3 consecutive.
Only
twice.
thing we have is a precedence. This is the game.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody that ever did. You got to factor in.
Who's ever won three-peated and then three-peated again?
Who's ever?
Yeah.
Well, the Kobe was about to do it.
No. Who's ever done it? Who's three-peated?
I mean, Kobe
and then three-peated again.
He three-peated and then he won
So
through. So he did 5.
Let me ask it this way: Mike plays obviously early in his career. They don't win the title. You got the Pistons, all that, but then they hit their stride. They win 1, 2, 3 championships. He leaves. He comes back with like 17 games to go in a season. You can count it, however you want to look at it. He comes back, they lose. That's fine.
Yeah.
But the next full season that he plays with his team, they win 1, 2, 3.
Right.
So it stands to then he retires. So we see, talking about precedents, all we can go off of is what we saw. We can only go off the facts. Once we hit 1992, the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan, all they did when they play a full season, particularly when he plays a full season, all they did was win championships. Is that right or wrong?
That's right.
So we can assume injuries, but I don't have anything factual I can go off of other than to say
precedence.
If dude was, and I've got 2 3-peats as my precedent.
I understand that, but not so. Basically, you're saying with a straight face.
Yeah, I don't have anything else I can say.
That has never been done ever. Like
the 2 3-peats have never been done.
A team can stay together. I mean, clearly, I know the Celtics. They had the 3-peat twice. I mean, they got 11 rings. You're not telling me they didn't.
I'm talking about the same core team, though.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
All of them was on the same team.
We'd have to look that up. I don't know.
Now, hold up. Now, these was 2 different teams. Now, you know that, right? Like Horace Grant.
Yeah, I know.
Paxson. These were 2. So you
but really Jordan and Pippen, though. I mean,
right. So it's just 2 people. Like, but they had different.
And Phil.
So yeah,
that's the core of the team.
They had different.
Yeah.
And Boston had the same core, right?
I suppose.
So Russ is the only one that got 11 rings. Nobody else got.
You just asked me how many rings I think they win. I think
no, because
you're
saying nobody never did it with the same team. But what I'm saying is
that's fair. But
it's hard to believe.
Yeah, I think that accentuates my point even more. Though
I've played sports, and I've watched sports all my life, and I think that anybody that's not biased would come to the conclusion that a team staying together. There are so many things that happen when you win rings, and there's so many, it's so hard to go back to back. There's, you got contracts, you got media, you got, it's so much stuff that you got to overcome before you get to the court. And you're sitting up here with a straight face and say that Jordan would play 82 games for 9 years, and the whole team, Scottie Pippen gonna play 82 games for 9 years, and they're going to keep a team together 9 straight years and win it. Like a whole, you might say a whole decade.
Keep the team together.
Like a whole decade.
Yeah.
Like a whole decade. You trying to say
They did keep the team together. They moved pieces, obviously, but the Phil Jackson, Scottie Pippen core of the team stayed together.
And we got the Jerry Cross factor. We have that factor. If he would have won 5 in a row, so you don't think he's going to get the big head to think he got something to do with
we're way
this.
down in the weeds now.
No, I mean,
all I can go off
because Jerry Cross was the reason why he broke it up the second time.
I understand.
So if he broke it up the second time, it's safe to assume that he probably would have wanted to break it up earlier.
I'm way down in the weeds now, though. All I can go off is what I have. Mike doesn't retire. They have the team they have for 2 seasons, but Mike's implanted. Really just 1 whole season, because he did come into the team that second year. I'm saying they win both titles. And then I'm saying that the year that he retired, if the team doesn't blow up and they stay in the league that year, I'm saying that I watched the NBA Finals. I remember that one. I mean, I'm saying that I think that they can win that. So now you're at 9 rings. And then where I'm calling it into question is, that next year, I think that Lakers team that would have been challenging regardless of which team Phil Jackson's coaching. I think that would have. I can't just give them that as easily, but I think they could have won the mid 90s and they could have won 98, 99. I think so.
They would have won 99. Well, I mean, I really don't understand.
I mean, if you would have asked people 20 years ago, would LeBron be doing? Can you really going to sit here and tell me with a straight face that LeBron James at 40 years old is going to be averaging such amount of points playing at the level he's playing at? Most people wouldn't think that was the case either, but some people are a rare breed. And my opinion is Michael Jordan and LeBron James are some of those kind of people that are a rare breed.
Right, but he need a team. I mean, it's a reason
why they all do. LeBron's got a team.
It's a reason why LeBron went from team to team because they couldn't keep up with him. So I got to get a new car so we can keep going. You're saying Michael Jordan is not going to leave because see, not only is Jordan a rare breed, Scottie Pippen got to be a rare breed because he got to play 9 years.
They won 6 titles together.
I'm just saying, but he got to play 9 years straight as well.
Well, he did. Did Scottie get hurt?
Huh?
Did Scottie get hurt in any of that? He played while Jordan was gone.
Right.
And after Jordan left, he goes over to Portland and played phenomenal. That's some of his best basketball was in Portland.
But they
not at top, but I mean he played really well.
He wasn't going to the West. He wasn't going to the finals. Like you
they got close. Portland was in the mix, but they ran into Kobe and Shaq.
Right. So he didn't get to the finals. Like he didn't make it out.
No, he didn't.
That's what I'm saying.
That makes Jordan look even better too. If he went to the finals, that looked bad for Mike.
That's what I'm saying. So
Scottie was out of doing it by himself.
The point I'm trying to make is you got to factor in that other 16 games times 9. That's over 150 games.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? So that's taxing on your body. And we all know the life Jordan led. He wasn't the healthiest person off the field. So you got to think that, okay, the law of averages, nothing is 100%.
So, but it sounds to me like, and we'll start to wind it down.
Yeah.
So what we're reduced to, because a lot of times what I hear on like ESPN and stuff, and I get annoyed because I'm not out there, I can't be in the conversations, and I'm busy anyways.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they make it sound like, oh, well, Jordan fans don't want to deal with the statistics, but I don't see why. So it sounds like, and this is what I've seen, especially as the years have gone on, the conversation is really, it's all of these peripheral things. It's actually not the statistics, and it's actually not the longevity. It's the he didn't have competition and the what ifs. Because now we're talking about speculations. What if he played? I'm going to speculate. I would have to assume injuries. That's what we've been reduced to.
Right.
That tells me that when we look at what we have on paper, they act like Jordan fans want to run from that. I don't think so. When we look at what we have on paper, yes, LeBron sits at the top of some statistical categories because of the consecutive years he's played the game and the averages, albeit lower than Jordan's, that he put up. So he's got higher totals. He's played 500 more basketball games.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
But aside from that, though, when we look on a per-game basis, which is where I would say you really evaluate a player who I want on my team, you find Michael Jordan's the better, more dominant player. He dominated an era so much that it seems like he played plumbers and mechanics. But these were NBA top 75 players in a lot of cases.
Top 75? Ooh.
There's quite a few of them guys.
Ooh.
We could pull a list up and pull them out.
I'm at his position now. But Reggie Miller.
As shooting guard, Reggie Miller?
Yeah, I don't even think Dominique Wilkins is top 75.
He is. Yeah, he's top 75 player.
Okay, so him and Dominique Wilkins. I mean, you got two people. But like I said, when I started out, I was like, with the Jordan fans, when I start, they give me the rules, their parameters. I like to stay in that. But then once I go into their room, they change it. Because, see, what Jordan's fans can do, they can assume and predict that if Jordan played in LeBron era, this is a quote, he would score more, his 3-point, they could do all of that. But when I start saying, okay, well, do you think 9 seasons if you can get injured? Well, I can't predict anything. I can't do this or I can't do that. But
well, I would say that's different because you can measure the points per game is higher on average in the league than it was then. So you can predict with metrics. Yeah, that's Well, look, I knew we would agree to disagree. I wasn't trying to win you over. I just think that I think to me it's pretty crystal clear. You look at you just go down at the end of the day. Yes, I do think it is important. You go through all those statistics, you go through all the amount of games played and some of the what ifs, they're fine to do because there was time missed and all this type of stuff. But you really settle it down. You got 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, 5-time NBA All-Star MVP, 1-time Defensive Player of the Year, both got Rookie of the Year, 3-time steals leader in the league, and 10-time scoring champion, and 2-time dunk contest champion, which I actually think matters too. And then when I factor in also what Jordan did for the game, see, I'm going to defend LeBron on one more thing too, real quick before we go. So I'm trying to meet you halfway somewhere, at least like 75-25.
Yeah.
People act like, viewership of the NBA has had this massive decline since LeBron came in. I think that some interest in NBA has dropped off a little bit, but it's not what people make it out to be. A lot of that measurement from TV viewership is because of streaming and all that stuff.
Exactly.
So I think the NBA is still doing well. And I think LeBron unrightly takes some criticism on that, but he did not expand the game the way that Mike did. Mike globalized the game on a completely different level.
Oh, wow.
That's I mean, you can go look at the numbers on that and see that.
You can just look at the salaries. I mean, well, we don't have to go too far.
So I would say that when I look at all of these factors and I look at the legacy of the NBA, I've definitely got LeBron higher than 99.9% of players that have ever played the game. I just can't put him above Jordan. I told you when we talked, if we were starting a team, would I take Kobe also over LeBron? I would. Admittedly, that might just be partly biased. That could be a little bit biased.
Yeah.
But I would. But definitely, Mike, I think Mike, pound for pound, is the better NBA player that we've seen in history.
And I'll just wrap it up. I'll wrap it up with this. When you start your team, being that you took Mike, make sure you get 3 other Hall of Famers. They're going to go on this team and a Hall of Fame coach.
All right. We'll do.
That's it. You ain't do that, though. I got you on that one, though. I seen it in your eyes. I got you on that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. But I mean, we already touched on that. LeBron playing with 7 relevant, that's not counting the irrelevant ones, relevant Hall of Famers in his career.
Yeah, but I just, just make sure.
That's fine.
So you can have the success. Just make sure you have 3 more Hall of Famers. And hopefully the league, he don't play against nobody who
we can't make that happen. So
right.
we've only got what we got.
You're right. So, we agree to disagree. Good content, man.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man.
Yep.
Having me.
As always, I appreciate y'all's viewership, and God willing, we'll see you on the next episode.